Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to Spoilers of the Damned, episode number 21, where we will be discussing zombie flesh eaters / zombie 2 / zombie 1 maybe / zombie CF2
/ zombie no E.
Yes.
Yes.
Because Italian. We don't
All of those films. We're going to spoil all of those films at once, which is really easy to do.
Because they're all the same.
The same movie. What the hell?
Yep.
But before we get into that, guys, how have you been? Because our upload schedule is kind of shoddy, and we're actually we're recording these podcasts way in advance. So at the moment, I've got some stuff to talk about, but by the time we talk about it, it will have already finished.
Don't break the illusion.
Break it.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm currently backing the Resident Evil 2 board game.
As am I.
Which I think I was going to talk about last time, but we didn't get time in the end. And it will probably have finished by the time this podcast goes up. So I guess they'll probably be doing their next Kickstart by the time it gets uploaded. So go check that out. But it's really exciting, especially seeing as I was aware of the Dark Souls board game, but I'm not really into Dark Souls, or, at this point in time, I'm not.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future I will be. But so for me, it was really exciting because it's the first major kind of board game thing I've kickstarted, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of a minefield with Kickstarter right now because there's been so many failed projects by people who have the credentials to make good projects. Mighty Number 9 being like the poster child, #1 sterling example. And what's funny about that is, like, I was gonna kickstart it. I was like, yes, this has gotta be amazing. That trailer where Keiji and Afane is basically walking through like Japan, and all these little like things are happening that are like parallels to Mega Man, like the construction hats and the rising elevator scene and all that other stuff. I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. This is going to be amazing. It can't possibly fail. But I did not kickstart it because I didn't really need to spend the money right then. But when it came out, I was like, oh, it's out? I got on PSN. Oh, it's like $20. All right. I mean, I heard bad things, but it's only $20. Me, like I keep saying, if it's reasonably priced, I'll buy it every day. So I went ahead and bought it, and it really wasn't all that bad until you get to the end of the game, like the Wily stages, if you know anything about Mega Man.
Yeah.
And, you end up fighting a big flower at the end.
Sorry, what?
A big flower?
Okay.
Just a big robot flower. You fight a big robot flower, that's the end boss. There's no Dr. Wily or anything. It's just... I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you, by the way.
No, I wasn't going to play it. Why is it a giant flower?
It's like, but also, why is a giant flower weird? Because I think maybe I'm just playing too much Cuphead at the moment, so shooting a giant flower at the end seems perfectly fine.
Or I need to get around to playing
Right,
it.
I've seen that scene in Cuphead. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is...
I haven't beaten that guy yet, damn it.
Well, the thing is, like, you're fighting, robots, just like you would in a Mega Man game. And I know it's unfair to compare it to Mega Man, but it's also completely fair to compare it to Mega Man because of how it was sold.
If they're comparing it in the opening, video for their Kickstarter, then...
Yeah, you know what?
You kind of can't not make the comparison.
Right,
there.
You can't be objective anymore. Well, the thing is, like, you're told there is a robot who has the ability to, turn reality into data and then, collect it sort of like a Borg character, like assimilating the world or whatever.
Because that's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's great.
And she's basically creating this crater inside Japan and just destroying the Earth with it. So you have to go in there and stop her because you, as Mighty Number 9, have a similar ability, but of course you're a force for good. So the only way anyone can destroy her is if you jump in there and assimilate her or something similar to that.
But of course.
But so you expect to fight her as a boss, sort of like a Mighty Number 9 or sort of Mega Man versus Proto Man or X versus Zero kind of thing. And you get in there and she's like, hey, big flower instead. And then this big flower, it's not hard to defeat, but it's just really frustrating after the levels that they put before you also being extremely frustrating. And I don't mean there's enemies in the way of a platform I'm trying to jump to, which that's nothing. You can just kill the enemy, jump on the platform, that kind of thing is easy to solve. I'm talking you must fly instead of air dashing from platform to platform because there are no platforms in some areas. And since you can't air dash up, if you don't maintain certain elevations going across across these giant chasms, then your head is just going to hit the corner of the platform you need to be on, and then you're just going to have to fall and die because there's nothing else you can do. And that's just some bullshit stuff. And then on top of that, they have like the disappearing block thing going on, but like you have to shoot them to make them disappear so you can make progress. But you have to shoot them from point blank range while there's no platforms under you. So again, you have to air dash and shoot, like try to go back and forth to get enough shots in on the platform and then go forward again. And it's just an unreasonably difficult game as opposed to like just precision jumping and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't sound challenging. That just sounds tedious.
Yeah, it's tedious
annoying.
and frustrating and annoying. Yeah, that's another one. That's a really good word right there. And then yeah, it's basically, yeah. So like when you fight the flower though, of course the flower has like 3 life bars to your 1. And it has like area hitting attacks where you have to be in specific areas to dodge. And you have to know what these specific areas are because you can't react to this. You have to be like, okay, I remember these missiles come down in this pattern, that pattern, this pattern, so I need to be in this area, this area, this area. And you don't learn that until after you die from that several times because the damage you take is so astronomical that you don't get to learn except for dying. And then when you die, you get to go through that level again. And I said, fuck it. I'll watch somebody else having gone through the frustration of getting through that game just to see the ending of the game. It was unsatisfying, and I just deleted the game off my PlayStation without even realizing that I had deleted the game.
Fucking hell. That's
just,
not a good sign.
Yeah, like I hit circle. I mean, I went to like escape game or whatever, or circle, then I went to the thing, and I hit triangle, and I went to delete, and I was like, wait, where'd it go? Did I just delete it? I was gonna kind of like give it a second chance, but I'm like, you know what? My brain saved me, so I'm just not going to worry about it. It'll just be forever in the abyss on my PlayStation account, and I'll just never look at it again. There's nothing redeeming about it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so you're not sounding to me at all.
No. And then I watched a speed run from Awesome Games, AGDQ.
The thing.
Awesome Games.
The thing where they do the speed.
Speed thing.
The fast game thing. I watched an
Fast
AGDQ speed run of it, and I thought, well, maybe they'll sell it back to me, because I still own it. You know, maybe it'll be fun. Maybe I just was frustrated. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe I was depressed. I don't know. And I was watching the speed run, and they were just like tearing it apart piece by piece. I'm like, yeah, this game is total ass. The fact that we had to wait this long to get it, and all the things that we were promised that weren't actually fulfilled, like physical copies, weren't made until way after the release. And then like the collector's edition thing with the cool case and all that kind of stuff was very flimsy, like cheap plastic or cardboard kind of. It wasn't like the ideal packaging that you were expecting if you're being sold on classic, NES game cover case or something, and look at the USB thing that was supposed to come with the games and all that kind of stuff on it with the digital art book and all that stuff was like some of them I heard were empty. Just like such a shoddy publishing deal. Or
the thing I heard was that the manuals don't fit in the boxes.
Wow,
which is just funny,
right?
Because I mean, obviously, I didn't back Mighty No. 9, but I followed all the news of it because it's kind of in the gaming sphere, and we all follow the news from the gaming sphere.
Yeah.
And the instant I thought something perhaps was a bit wrong with Mighty No. 9 was way back when they announced a secondary game that was going to be sort of like some kind of like Mega Man Legends game.
Yeah.
I've never played any of those games, but they announced one and it was going to be like a sequel. I thought, okay, you haven't finished the first game and you're already like looking at a second game because you want to do something else as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And that to me just kind of sets off alarm bells. It's kind of like, oh, we don't kind of want to make this now. We want to make this one.
Yeah. I'm kind of done making this game. This game is just like, whatever. I'm going to try to make a better game somewhere else.
We're bored now. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Maybe when Capcom is like paying your salary and you can kind of go, oh, yeah, let's move teams or whatever. That's fine. But when it's a Kickstarter, so you're kind of more beholden, I think, to
see a project
if it's
through.
like a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, they didn't come out of the whole thing looking particularly professional.
Yeah, no. As far as I gather, there were kind of like issues with was it like their community manager or something like that? Got argumentative and blocking threads and things like that. So.
Yeah, she got like crazy block happy.
Yeah. Resident Evil 2 board game, I can say quite happily, has not had any of those issues as far as I'm aware, and the main thing that made me plump for it was the fact that they did have already the kind of Dark Souls board game under their belts. So
yeah, because it's the same people.
Well, how did the Dark Souls board game go? Do we know?
I've heard good things.
Well, yeah, as far as I'm aware, the only person I've heard talk about it who backed it was Total Biscuit, and he seemed quite happy, and he's a board game kind of nut. So
okay, well that sounds good enough for me.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's my dream that one day us three will be in a room and play it together. That would be nice.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool.
That'll happen.
Also, I used to be well into at school for about a year, or like 5 minutes of a year. All my friends were into Warhammer, so you paint the little figurines. And everything.
Yeah.
And my favorite bit was always painting the figurines. I didn't really know how to play the game. But these figurines are kind of very much like that, and so I'm already kind of imagining maybe I could get into like painting miniatures again and paint these. That would be really cool. Seeing as I've like an idiot, I've like plumped for every single stretch goal thing they've added.
Yeah.
So like it's like crazy amounts that I don't even want to think about costing. But I get like giant spiders and giant crocodile and like everything.
Well, that's awesome.
It's really cool.
Well, I've heard as well that because it is strictly a co-op game, and if one of you dies, that it's game over.
Oh,
So
well,
really
there might be different rules because I know that the guy Marvin. Is it Marvin?
Yeah, Marvin Branagh.
The guy you get to in the RPD and he's already been bitten. And he goes, "Don't worry about me. Just rescue the other survivors from the other rooms." Yeah, that guy.
Oh, I love Marvin.
I know you can play as him,
Yes.
so like they kind of the really nice thing I like about their Kickstarter pledge, like proposal, is that they've really gone back to the game and must have played it a number of times and come up with different stuff because. The way they write their updates is really neat. Like they did the one where you can play as Marvin. It's like maybe this time it's a different scenario and Marvin will win this time, and come out and survive.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I was like, whoa, yeah, alternate like realities and stuff. That's really cool. But I think there's a kind of a thing where if Marvin gets bit, he can kind of like hold like off something or like open a door for them and then like become a zombie. So I'm sure there must be some kind of game type where people can die.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I shall have to consult the rather lengthy post.
So it looks like they keep adding more characters as well.
That's cool.
Yes, they do.
play
Yeah,
as
they just added Annette Birkin.
Yeah,
I think
Annette Birkin, nice.
And I think that the Resident Evil 2 like setting actually makes a lot of sense for this because of the Leon A, Claire B, Claire A, Leon B alternate timelines that were built into the game. So now the board game has that sort of a setting or influence as well. That seems like some smart design. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah, there's an optional additional pledge thing you can do to get what's called the B files, which has got like those Mr. T kind of guys who walk around in trench coats, and it's got an alternate Leon costume as well, miniature. So, and they've done loads of little cool things as well. Like they've added like if you up your pledge by £10, you get like little plastic doors that you can put on the doorways, and they open, like loading screens and item boxes and stuff. They just announced you can get ink ribbons, and you can use those to kind of like
reshuffle the
reshuffle the tension decks. So
also you can if you pledge like an extra 10, you can get all of the different transformations of William Birkin as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm currently at the level where I've pledged enough to cover every additional extra.
I think I've got the B. I think I'm on the B files as well. I think I've pledged enough to get that because it's just like I might as well because I'm getting lots and lots then.
Yeah.
Well, the way I'm thinking about it is if I get to spend my time learning how to paint miniatures again and I get to paint all the miniatures, I get to play the board game with people as well, so long as they don't wreck the miniatures, then I'm probably going to get like, at least 50 to 100 hours out of this. So hopefully more than that. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand as well, like with the, I kickstarted Bloodstained. So, like that's the.
Yeah, so did I.
Oh yes. I'm keeping tabs on that. I haven't
still got that
coming
at some point.
Like it's the only thing that I was like, you know what though, like I can. I really didn't want another Mega Man Mighty Number 9 situation, but like this is a guy that I know turned Castlevania on its head. You know, it wasn't like Keiji Inafune was like part of Mega Man for a long period of time. We had Castlevania 1, 2, 3, and then is his name Koji Igarashi? Yeah, it's his name.
Koji.
Yeah. Because he goes by Iga. I remember that. And like Koji
they call
Igarashi.
It Igavania Games.
Yeah, Igavania. All right, so he's got a name for this kind of thing already. You know, it wasn't like KG Man Games or whatever, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm thinking this guy's got the clout to pull this off. And I played the Bloodstained E3 demo, wasn't really that satisfied because of the way it's a 3D game. Like, it's a 2D platformer, but you're using 3D models. And that always makes it kind of fuzzy when you're doing your platforming. It doesn't feel as natural as a Mega Man game, a Mario game, or like Cuphead, for example. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of room for refinement and polish and that kind of thing. And he's got all the right people on board. So I already went ahead, because it was a full moon, right? Being poetic here. It was a full moon. I went outside and I looked at it and I was like, Kickstart, I want everything. Except for like the handcrafted ring he has on there and all that stuff that would like be way too expensive. But I did drop like the $200 package, so I get the box and the shirts and all the DLC and all that stuff. Okay. So
I've just backed vanilla like physical disc, but I think I'm maybe wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Kickstarters for Bloodstained and Yooka Laylee happened at really almost the same time.
Maybe.
If not the same time, then within a couple of months of each other. And we've had Yooka Laylee, it's been and gone. And it was good, but it could have used a little tiny bit of polish still. And I'm glad that Bloodstained is taking this long, even though you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I backed that. I'm going to get that someday.
It's like, I get, like, because I backed the Evil Dead 2 board game. And there's people that complain that it hasn't, you know, been released yet, and I do get that, but at the same time, I'd much rather I got a product that the developers were happy with, that had all the problems ironed out, as opposed to getting something that just didn't work.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, this doesn't make sense. The rules are broken. You know, or, you know, it's like Rockstar always do that. Like they will announce an initial release date, and then go, no, that's stupid, we can't release it yet because it's still got lots of problems.
Yeah.
And people still complain, but at the same, you know, Rockstar games very rarely have massive issues when they come out. If you think of something like the Elder Scrolls of Fallout, you remember when Fallout New Vegas came out and it was just absolutely full of glitches?
Yeah. I'd rather wait than be a beta tester.
Yeah.
To pay to be a beta tester.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know,
games,
so I've got no problem with it.
Games have like a different development kind of period nowadays, because there's so many different kinds of games. You have like your Cuphead game, which, I mean, Cuphead looks simple enough and probably didn't take nearly as long as, say, like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto 5 or how Blizzard likes to take really long with their games. But we have these like false, muddied expectations for release dates nowadays. Oh, is it being announced? Is it coming out tomorrow? No? Fuck that game. Is what people come up with. Yeah, exactly. I want to know. Like, it's like sort of a fast food culture. Nobody knows how to bake anything anymore. You know? Food metaphors. That's what I do.
More.
Yes. Second helpings.
But no, I agree. It's just, you know, but I mean, if then they take ages to release it and it's still really shit, then by all means be angry.
Yes, please. Release the hounds.
Be angry as well if, like, you know, they're promising and nothing's appeared, and yet, like, you know, they've got like white dust on their like upper lip, and you know, like cars and cars of scantily clad ladies are being like wheeled in and out of their like building.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
then you've got a right to be kind of
then angry
like, before it shows up.
You know, and they turn up all shaky, going, "You guys have so many good ideas. You came up with so many good ideas." Just say like, "I need to go and get some more ideas." My brain has seen things. Let's just restart the game.
Which one of you has got the Kickstarter goal to clean our toilets?
Start the game again from scratch. Do better.
Do better. Yeah, new engine.
Work for Resident Evil 2. It'll work for us.
You could always be double fine and do a second Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? What did they do? I don't actually know that one.
I can't remember if it was Kickstarter or Patreon or whatever, but they did like they did a thing for Broken Age. I think it was Broken Age, and then they did another thing for Broken Age because they ran out of money.
Oh, wow.
It's like, fuck you, Tim.
Yeah. But see, like, that's the thing about the whole free market kind of concept of this whole, like, people backing it, crowdsourcing, that kind of thing, where they put out the product, but they put the reputation on it too. So if you end up backing it and it doesn't work, you don't have like if Blizzard puts out a game that doesn't work and it's bad, World of Warcraft, they still have Overwatch, StarCraft 2, Hearthstone, and all these other games that will still bring them a lot of money, and they can still put out the shitty World of Warcraft that they have without really losing their business. But with like a crowdsourcing situation, you're putting it out with your reputation, and if your reputation is shit from that first crowdsourcing thing, you pretty much don't deserve any more money. But if half
the time you're banking on that reputation to wheel the people in.
Yeah, exactly. But if people still want to pay afterwards, I guess it's just their option. You know? Sad as that is. But I'm pretty excited about Bloodstained. I think it'll work out really well. I was excited when because they did great marketing for it. The whole swordorwhip.com thing. I was at work on the website just constantly voting sword over and over and over again because you could vote as many times as you want, and I guess I just sort of fell into a trap because I really wanted sword game. I like Simon Belmont, I like Trevor Belmont, but honestly my favorite Castlevania games were Symphony of the Night and onward, so I was like sword. And
I think pretty much the only Castlevania games I've really spent any time with are either Symphony of the Night or the ones that came after for DS that were basically Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Again, so
right. And see, that's another thing.
That's definitely my favorite as well.
That's another thing about Koji is that he's done these games so many times, but he's been doing it under Konami's, design principles, and we all know how Konami's kind of draconian with how they build their games.
Yeah, I can't remember who. It might have been Jim Sterling, it might not, but someone recently, I was watching a YouTube video and they referred to Konami as the Yakuza.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Yongye, I'm not sure, but he just, instead of saying Konami, because I was expecting him to finish his sentence with Konami, he said Yakuza, like the Yakuza.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. With all the stuff that's come out about their kind of business practices and shady kind of things, it's fits.
And when you think about it, like Konami's putting out pachinko machines now, gambling kind of goes right hand in hand with that organized crime, if you know what I'm saying.
It's just so depressing. Like growing up, Konami were the fucking tits.
Oh my god, you guys!
Yeah,
we need to kickstart a casino. This will work.
This will not work.
No.
Sorry, Matt, I interrupted you with a really shit idea. Carry on.
I was just saying, growing up, Konami were the absolute tits. They had knockout games again and again on each console, every generation.
Yep.
Like the original Castlevania games, like Contra, all that stuff. Metal Gear, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, all these really cool games. Every generation had good stuff, and to see where they are now is just so depressing. That the only thing they really do of any value at the moment is Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
Really. Because, they did Metal Gear Solid 5, was it last year or the year before? But
last year, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't even think if there's been any, announcements of any other games they're releasing.
Metal Gear Solid
besides
5 was the year before that.
Yeah, besides Pro Evo. I love Pro Evo. That's the thing I really, I think Pro Evo's always been solid. And the new one's really, really good, but there's, nothing else to play. Besides pachinko machines.
Right.
Pull the lever! And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Oh. Give us money to pull this lever!
Give us money!
Kickstart the lever.
Kickstart the lever.
They're promoting gambling.
Yeah, that's the other thing about with gambling. This is something that's been cropping up on Facebook lately. Loot boxes are being compared to gambling, and I've always been kind of okay with loot boxes because you can choose to spend your money or not. As long as everything in the loot boxes is something you can get by playing the game and you have fun playing the game, I really don't mind. But when you think about I've been playing Overwatch for about 20 hours this weekend. The last 2 days. I did a 10-hour spree at least yesterday. At least 10 hours. And it was a lot of fun. I love playing Overwatch. And honestly, all the cosmetic stuff doesn't really appeal to me too much because you don't see it in a first-person game very often. You see other people wearing stuff, but you don't really see the stuff that you're wearing. So earning it doesn't really appeal to me too much. But I did spend $20 on loot boxes because it's the Halloween season and they have Halloween-specific costumes and things. And I don't really have anything I specifically want, but I don't have anything I specifically don't want. I don't want to wait till next Halloween to get McCree's Van Helsing costume, so I'll just put $20 on a game that I'm having fun playing anyway. And we can.
Okay, well, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Question number 1, is it the case that while Halloween is going on, everything in the loot box is Halloween themed?
Yes.
Okay. That nullifies my second question, which was, how much do you actually get a fucking Halloween shit for your $20? The answer is all of it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, that's okay then.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like
that's not so bad.
The loot boxes are actually changed from loot boxes to like jack-o'-lanterns. It's all Halloween themed and stuff. They've even went and changed some of the levels. Like there's a level called Eichenwald, which is like this German castle thing where you have a battering ram. You have to lead the battering ram to the castle and take the throne room. And they changed it to an alehouse, like an Austrian alehouse, because it's Halloween. They even gave a costume to the maps.
Cool. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah,
and that's free for everybody.
That's free for everybody.
Okay. That's fine. See, I don't mind stuff like that. I think the problem I have with microtransactions and loot boxes is when, say, for example, like the latest thing with Shadow of War, which is so ongoing, so very much ongoing, is that to get the quote-unquote true ending, you have to complete multiple siege quests, like really difficult. You need really strong, high-level orcs at the end. And I've read a lot of reviews where they've said you can do it without buying loot boxes, but it takes a long time of tedious grinding.
Yeah.
That's when I'm not so okay with it, because it's literally like, yeah, you could do that, but if you just use money, just
yeah. And I think I would be okay with that level of grinding if it was like for an additional thing or a kind of like a prestige, like say in a multiplayer you get like prestige levels or whatever.
Yeah, it should never be.
Shit. It should never be for the game's ending.
It should never be for the true ending. It should be, hey, this is like additional stuff you can do. That's fine. I don't mind that, because like RPGs, that's the bread and butter. If you want to beat, the final boss or this secret boss, you have to grind a bit to be powerful for it, but you don't have to do it to get the ending.
Right.
So
that's the thing about the Overwatch loot box scenario, is that like it sounds fine. What I just said was fine, but I had noticed like yesterday, it takes a long time to level up, and every time you level up, you get a loot box. When you get the loot box, of course, you get 4 things. You always get 4 things of varying quality and rarity. They can
be repeats as well, can't they?
They can be repeats.
I know you can grind them down but Jim Sterling said that the amount you get, it would take forever to earn like another loot box with the ground down stuff. Yeah.
Well, like if you get the same thing, you actually get currency that you can then stockpile and then use the currency to buy specific things that you want. So there's that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can at least gear it towards something specific.
Right, yeah. So you don't have to, like, if you just keep playing, you'll eventually get enough doubles that the currency will give you what you want if the loot box doesn't give you what you want. That's all there. But the problem is that, like I said, I played 10 hours yesterday. I leveled up probably 4 or 5 times. And that's 4 or 5 loot boxes. And this is a Halloween season. After November 1st, you can't get Halloween loot boxes anymore. So I would have thought that in 10 hours, I should be able to get enough loot boxes to get the things that I want. Because 10 hours on an adult's time frame with a full-time job. And I just happened to have 2 days off because of physical inventory at the factory. So I had all this extra time to burn. You would think that I'd be able to get the things that I want.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. But also they fluff a lot of their inventory with like player icons, which don't really matter. Stickers, which it doesn't really matter. I mean, some of those are kind of fun, but they really don't matter too much. And voice lines, which can be fun, but most of the time you're the only one who can hear them because it projects a sound that's within earshot. So if you're trying to like taunt the enemy, they can't hear you because they're either already dead and you're moving on because you have to kill something else, or they're just not paying attention, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so you're just standing there and they're going, what? What was that? Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So, but there are a couple that I really enjoy that I like to just listen for fun. Like, Diva has one. I was actually playing the game in German because I just like hearing German whenever I can. And the LOL voice line for Diva, where she just goes LOL, hee hee hee, or whatever. In German, she goes LOL. And I just mash that shit. LOL. LOL. It's fun. So that was fun for me, but not for anyone else.
No.
Okay. So. How about you, Matt? Been up to anything?
Yes. So anyway, no,
yes, well, that's the podcast, everybody.
Yeah, that's good podcast. All right, goodbye. No, yeah, I've been up to a few things. Played a bit more of Silent Hill 2 over the weekend with my girlfriend. We've got to the end of the hospital, and we're now at the stage where we've got to try and get a few items so we can go to the Historical Society. So it holds up remarkably well. I still think the game, considering it came out, I think, 6 or so months after the release of the PS2, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's when it came out. It still looks absolutely gorgeous, I think. Visually, it still looks absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
And the game really holds up. The camera angle is a bit annoying at times.
It was released September 24th, 2001.
Good lord, 16
And the
years
PlayStation 2 was released in EU November 24th, 2000, so just under a year.
Bloody, that's quite a short amount of time for a game, for it to look that good as well.
Yeah,
especially the character models, which I still think look so really nicely refined and clean. But yeah, so been playing that. What else? Have I been doing anything else horror related besides going to work?
The deepest terror.
Picked up The Evil Within 2.
Okay.
Because I wanted me and my girlfriend wanted to play that together as well, because we want to play more games and that together. She likes watching me play, and we decided, because obviously she can't come around every weekend, we've got Silent Hill 2 going on at the moment, that I'm going to try live streaming it, and she's going to tune in to watch that and then just like message me on Instant Messenger while I'm obviously talking while playing.
Oh, that's really nice.
Just to, like,
that's what you do as well, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, actually,
it's a nice thing to do,
because then it gives me a way to test whether I'm any good at this live streaming malarkey, and she can tune in and watch me play games. Also, it gives me an excuse to put up more content on YouTube easier, like, more frequently, and also while actually playing games I need to play. So I'm going to try that. I have no idea.
Have you played the first one?
Yes, I did. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I liked elements of it, but I think it did a lot wrong. But I'm hoping this one is more refined because they didn't rush it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard a really weird review today of The Evil Within 2.
Oh, really?
It's by the channel Gameranks. I don't know if you know it, but they kind of do it before you buy.
Oh,
whenever
those ones,
something's
yes.
coming out. Yeah, and they did one on Evil Within 2, and the guy said it's a solid game. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed some bits more than others, and he said it kind of makes the first game good in retrospect. Not in like this one's shit, but more in a kind of like some kind of plot way.
Oh,
so I'd be interested, spoiler free as much as possible on your take on that when you play it, because it was a really confusing review.
Yeah, that is weird, because the plot of the first one tried to be too up its own arse for its own good. Like, it tried to be too complex. It's like, it doesn't have to be that complex. We don't need dreams within the dream. But it still had some solid action. So I'm looking forward to playing it. So, I mean, well, by the time this cast goes up, I probably would have already tried it. So maybe I'll fail miserably and it won't go well. But
by the time this cast's up, you've finished it. So what are your thoughts?
I thought it was great. It was the best game I've ever played. So
great. There was some evil in it.
There was evil, and I shot things.
Two.
There was some evil within the game.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I do hope that the character is still horrifically cliched and gruff and I'm a detective and dark backstory.
Yeah, the guy described it basically as kind of like Silent Hill Max Payne. He said it's got more Resident Evil 4-ness in it because of the guns.
Oh, that's fun, because that's something that the first one I think did quite poorly, where at times it was almost like it was at a conflict with itself. It was like it was fighting itself at times, where at times it wanted to be like Resident Evil 4, and at other times it wanted to be like a stealth horror game, but it didn't do a massively good job at balancing either of them.
Nah.
Because it wanted to be all survival horror and stealthy, it would limit the amount of ammo you could carry and you'd find. But at the same time, because it wanted to be an action horror title, you'd have these big set pieces where you had no fucking ammo. It's like, this is great. Oops. I can't shoot anything. I've got to run around hitting them with bottles. It's like, that's fun, but and it does get. I remember the ending just got a bit too. It was one of those games where you just needed someone to just like slap the writer around the head and say, "No, that's stupid.
Yeah,
you're going too far."
Okay.
It's like, why is he fighting the giant flesh tarantula? That's not scary. That's stupid. And yes, that does happen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. And
okay.
What else have I done horror? I haven't done anything else horror related, but I did
just
see...
before you move on, I was just going to say, I think because we met up for the Twin Peaks podcast,
yes.
We went to the UK festival, which that episode is going to be up before this one, so that'll kind of give you a kind of rough date.
So
that one should hopefully be going up as we record this week coming. So
I did as well.
But I think I told you I'd not played Evil Within, but I knew about this difficulty mode called Akumu difficulty.
Yes.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did.
No.
And your insanity of wishing to try it.
Yeah, it's one hit and you die mode, Chris.
Okay.
But you can checkpoint. So it's kind of like Call of Duty, you just bang your head until you get there. So
Why am I
want to
doing
play
this?
through. Yeah, I want to play through Evil Within to experience the story and play the game and everything else. And then I want to start trying to live stream Akumu difficulty until I beat it.
Oh, God.
So that's the kind of thing that gets me interested in a game, is where it goes, no, it's too hard, mate. It's like, okay, let's go.
Let's go. Oh, God, I shouldn't have done
And with Cuphead, yeah, it wasn't joking. But
I really need to
I'm
play
hoping
Cuphead.
With Akumu difficulty, there's some kind of trick to cheese it. I'll look into it.
You're cheating. That's not how it works.
Well, yeah. Well, I could just pretend, right? I can just turn on the stream and go, "Hey guys, I'm playing this for the first time on Akumu difficulty."
You just have the webcam like recording someone else's Let's Play of it, like really bad bootleg. Oh, it's showing me playing a game. Oh, I can't believe I did that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I did pretty well there. Yeah. But anyway, you were saying you were going to go on to something else.
Yeah, I saw Bladerunner 2049 yesterday as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's good. I think I need to watch it again to process it better, because I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. That's not to say I didn't like it, but I don't know. I feel
there's a lot of hype, to be fair, riding.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of hyperbole, especially with certain reviewers saying it's the best sequel ever made. It's better than the original. Like, it's good, but it's not.
Yeah, well, they have to say that kind of stuff nowadays.
Yeah,
like, you have to top what the last person said about their sequel. And then that person has to top it, and that's top it, to get to the point where you're at the ceiling of the English vocabulary with all the biggest, best possible words. We have the best words to explain what the sequel is. And it's just so, I don't know, redundant. I don't know. It's terrible.
You should never say great. You should. I think it's very silly to ever say anything that something is the greatest ever. You can say it's one of the greatest.
Yeah,
this ever. But
to be fair, the only way you can ever say it with a leg to stand on is in retrospect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like after years and years, like the greatest Roman invention was roads, because we kind of have seen all of the Roman inventions and we can kind of gauge it.
Exactly.
There's always going to be new films.
Yeah, right.
But no, it was good visually. It's just absolutely incredible visually. Just wow. It's the best way I can put it. It just looks incredible visually.
Is Ridley Scott attached in any way?
He helped. I think he was either the producer or the executive producer. Thankfully, he was nowhere near the directing.
Okay, that kind of makes me interested.
It was directed by, I'm trying to remember his name. Denis Villeneuve. I'm probably pronouncing his name horribly. Villeneuve. He is the director of Arrival, which was a really brilliant, really nice little sci-fi film that came out last year. He finished directing that and then went straight into directing Blade Runner 2049. So he's been a very busy man.
That's cool.
Okay.
Arrival was great. I loved Arrival. It was really smart.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I heard a big buzz about it when it came out.
I just want to say something really quick about Blade Runner 2049. This is not a spoiler, right? I know we're spoilers of the damn, but it's too new. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
It's in the future.
Oh, yeah, it's in the title. A friend of mine was telling me about it, and he was a big Blade Runner fan, and he said that the sequel was amazing. But that's, his objective opinion. I'm not trying to endorse it. But what did get me interested was the fact that he said that some of the advertising carries over from the first film and not into like a modern contemporary thing. So just to give an example, they have giant advertising for Atari, even in the sequel.
Yeah, I spotted that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that
cool.
makes me really happy. I'm like, wow, that's actually how you do a sequel, isn't it? Like, you actually make it a sequel of the movie, and not
like consistent worldview.
Yeah, exactly.
In the same world.
That made me really happy. It made me want to see the first movie, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, it's brilliant. And also, there's no smartphones or anything.
Wonderful.
There's no smartphones. There's still like communicators on board, like the vehicles and that, but there's no smartphones all of a sudden. There's no one like they're like Sony Xperia.
Yeah,
I like that.
It feels like it's
should
in
just
the same world.
commit to the technology that was envisioned.
Yeah.
Because we had this problem with Alien Covenant, didn't we, Matt?
Yeah.
Where like everything looks just too new because it's a prequel.
Yeah. But it looks too advanced considering it's like set 25 to 50 years before the original, which makes literally no sense.
Right.
But that's what's worked so well about Alien Isolation is that the developers respected and loved the first Alien movie so much that they said, we're going to set it's a sequel, but we're going to have the same tech. The tech's going to carry over. It's still going to have this retro sci-fi look to it with crap CRT monitors and it's all going to be grimy and steamy and that makes the world feel more alive, and it makes it feel like it's actually part of the same. Like it feels like a continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be a parallel world where Atari aren't shit.
Yeah.
And have massive adverts still.
And don't make terrible Alone in the Dark games.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. Woof.
And like previously, like with Star Trek, I'm a Star Trek fan, and I've been watching the new movies. I hadn't watched the STD Discovery because I don't really have the time to watch it on TV, and I don't really want to follow up on CBS All Access or whatever. I've seen enough.
Let's get around to watching that.
Huh?
Yeah, the new one. Is that the new one?
Yeah, Discovery.
It's the one with Sasha from Walking Dead.
I'm intending to start watching that at some point.
Okay, well, my thing is, that stuff is placed before Next Generation, and Next Generation it doesn't look very high-tech on our modern standards today. But Star Trek Discovery looks pretty high-tech in our modern standards today, and I always have to, like, justify it in my head by, like, well, that's what the original concept of the future was supposed to look like, but we just didn't have the tools to create that on screen, and I'm just sort of, like, giving it some sort of a justification, and that's not really fair. But with the Blade Runner thing, they ignored that and just continued with their own setting. And I wish that everyone would do that kind of stuff, because I would love to watch something planted like the original series, Next Generation, somewhere in between there that looks more like the original series. Just like in it with an HD camera or something.
And it's like the technology in it is getting to the stage that it is in Next Generation or something like that, because it's like all the vehicles and the weapons in Blade Runner 2049, they look like improved versions of the stuff from the original, which makes sense because it's set like 30 or so 40 years later, right? So it makes perfect sense, and it fits, and it makes it feel like it is in the world. It's not, again, I think I need to watch it again, because it's a long movie. It's like 2 hours and 43 minutes. It's 163 minutes. It's a long movie. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's what it is. You just haven't taken it all in correctly. I mean,
so I think I need to watch it again. Yeah, so it's like, because that's the thing. Like sometimes films like that, you do have to watch them more than once.
Yes,
because especially a film because it's not like an action film. I mean, there's some good little set pieces in it, but they're very very downplayed. I think the most like exciting set piece is probably just a very simplistic fist fight. If that makes sense.
Though.
Maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Like a good fist fight's always fun to watch. So
yeah, it's not like it's not like a Michael Bay movie. Where there's like cities. There's no city being destroyed in this. It's not like a Marvel movie where there's a giant space laser. Considering before the movie started, we saw a trailer for the Justice League, which looks fucking awful.
Yeah,
it's like, oh look, cities are blowing up again, and also. Like everything in the Justice League movie just looks like it's CGI. It's like, why even bother having actors on screen? CGI, just fucking do that. They're not doing anything.
Right, they're all in costume anyway, so the CGI would be easy to do, except for maybe Aquaman.
Well, I mean, he's in the doghouse at the moment, isn't he? After the whole rape thing.
Well,
he made comments in 2011, but he apologized for it, so people forgiving him. But
okay,
Jesus, what a stupid thing to say.
Right.
I mean, God, I know it was like 6 years ago, but just never say anything like that, because it will come back as soon as you get famous.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not aware of this controversy at all. So.
in 2011, it was at the start of, because Game of Thrones has been going for a few years now. It was, I think he was at a Comic-Con or something, and they were talking about his role because he was Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
And he basically said, "Oh, it's fun because I get to rape pretty women." Like, it's basically what he said.
Oh.
And apparently Lena Headey, she was there, the actress that plays Cersei. And she was, apparently, you could see she looked really embarrassed. She kind of looks over like, really? It's like, maybe you should have thought probably.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty blatant, but I've been listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography still, and there's a thing where he mentions making a commendation of a person that he knew at some sort of speech somewhere. It doesn't really matter. The point is that the person he was talking about eventually was revealed as a war criminal, like sort of a Nazi or whatever. And like Arnold didn't know that at the time, but even that comment came back to haunt him for several years, even though he didn't know it at the time, because the media will just twist it and use it no matter what. If it's got any kind of power to it, they'll use it. So, I mean, it's really hard to guard your comments, though Jason Momoa pretty much should never have said something anywhere remotely close to that.
No. Here's the quote. It was a Comic-Con panel in 2011, and he said, "But as far as sci-fi and fantasy, I love that genre because there are so many things you can do, like rip someone's tongue out or of their throat and get away with it, and rape beautiful women."
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I get what you're saying, Jason, but pick your words better. He should have just said, you can get away with a lot more and it can be really dark.
Yeah, or just say, been with beautiful women, you know? Be with them.
It's like, don't fucking say that.
Not rape them specifically. That's horrible.
Yeah, he's like, if you had a PA at the time, it's just off stage, just pulling their hair out, going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Overtime.
Yeah, well, you know, it's Karma's coming back around because now he's in a Warner Brothers movie.
Oh, sick bird!
Is it Warner Brothers who do DC? I can't remember.
Fuck, I don't know.
He's in a DC movie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what DC movie it is.
I mean, I will say one thing about the Justice League poster. It looks really cool because it looks like an old early 2000s comic book cover. It looks like it was actually drawn by a comic book artist. So it's got that going for it.
That's nice.
The only thing I've seen from it is a clip of Aquaman being thrown through the air with a trident because it was in the Nerd Crew podcast by
Red Letter Media.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Which I watched this morning. So that's like the second you mentioned Aquaman, I was like, very cool.
I hope it's good because it would be nice for there to be good DC movies as well as Marvel movies, but I don't know. It looks
I've
like
kind of gone off
everything that's wrong.
superheroes, like just in general at the moment.
Like,
yeah, I'm getting a bit.
The thing about the DC universe is trying to create is it's got so many shoddy movies in it that it's better to just let it just cut their losses and maybe try again some other way or some other day and just do other things in the meantime. Like Batman vs Superman was a terrible movie. It was a terrible movie. I hate saying it, but it's a terrible movie. Now, I would rather watch it over like the Ghostbusters remake, for example.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Batman vs. Yeah, it's not saying much. But the Batman vs Superman movie just had better action scenes, so that's basically it. Like all of the scenes, every scene that I watched, because I was on an airplane going to the Philippines when I saw it, and I was like, I watched a quarter of it, then I turned it off. Finding something better to do while on an airplane sitting there doing nothing was better to do than watch that movie. But there are so many, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're inorganic. The scenes themselves are inorganic. Like, there's one that I talk about, like, all the time, is that when Superman, as Clark Kent, comes home to Lois Lane, who's in the bathtub, okay? He's got groceries in a paper bag, and he's like, I'm gonna make dinner, because, isn't that sweet? And then he sees her in the bathtub. Clark is fully clothed. He walks to the bathtub, gets in the bathtub. Okay, that puts all of the water, displaces it from the bathtub out onto the bathroom floor. They live in an apartment building, which means that water is going to soak into the floor and probably affect someone's ceiling underneath. That's one problem. 2, why are you still in your clothes? You're supposed to be in an intimate relationship with Lois Lane. You can get naked. It's fine. You can get down to your underwear. The women would love to see that in the theater. There's nothing wrong with that. Why the fuck are you still in your clothes? Now you're going to look like a fucking idiot when you stand up and you're like, oh, I'm drenched. Aren't we romantic? I'm gonna make dinner. I hate every second of that scene. It doesn't make any sense. And then one more really quick is when bald guy Lex Luthor, who's not bald in the movie, but we've covered that. I mean, not we haven't, but it's been covered. Lex Luthor introduces Bruce Wayne to Clark Kent. Why?
Oh,
Clark Kent nobody knows, he's an unknown reporter. He's not a guy, he's not Lois Lane. You know, if it was Bruce Wayne to Lois Lane, that'd be different. Lois Lane's got a pedigree, she's done things, she's interviewed like dangerous people. Clark Kent works in an office building, it's a Daily Planet, I think, and there's no reason for Bruce Wayne to be like, oh, is that Clark Kent? Oh, cool. There's no reason for that at all. But then Lex Luthor's like, oh, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, I love bringing people together. I'm trying to be the Joker because that was successful in the last Batman movie, but we lost that actor, so we're just gonna make him up with me, tee-hee-hee. And then it's like, why? Have you guys not ever read, I'm not saying they should read all the comics, but just like read a forum or a fact on who Clark Kent is. He's not Superman. Clark Kent is not popular. Superman's popular. Clark Kent's not popular. And so why is Clark Kent at this party? Who knows?
Yeah, that's the whole.
I've heard he's an asshole. All his neighbours, like under the stairs from him, complain all the time.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, does it make more sense as well that because I thought that was the whole thing with Clark Kent was that he's just a nobody.
Right.
He just works at a
He's the person you would least suspect to be Superman.
Yeah, exactly. He's supposed to be kind of bumbling. He's a bit of a dork. Like, he just works for the Daily Planet and he just writes shit and takes photos.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, the fact that he can even leave the office is also out of place for the character. He's supposed to be the guy who's faxing and filing and computering and all that stuff.
Yeah, he'd be like
he's like the kind of the dog's body of the office.
Yeah, he'd be like Lois Lane's PA.
Right.
She'd be like, Clark, go and get me coffee, fucking dork.
Exactly.
Like, sure thing, Lois.
But like, if you watch the old Superman movies with Christopher Reeves, you can see him actually, because I watched the YouTube video where he was doing it, change from Clark Kent to Superman with his body language alone. And it's visually perfect. Like, I thought I saw two different people, but then obviously I didn't. But they just can't carry that into the modern day for some fucking reason.
Well, because like
that's definitely the mark of a good actor. Because we've been talking about Twin Peaks season 3, and there's Kyle MacLachlan is playing 3 separate different people. Well, not technically separate different people, but definitely different personas. And it's the mark of a good actor to do that.
Exactly, like because Christopher Reeve, you know. He does it so well because he's not just like, oh, I'm a bit of a dork. He's kind of he comes across awkward and a bit anxious, and he doesn't talk well to people, and he kind of fluffs his line, his words, and he's a bit like, oh, sorry, I forgot, I'm sorry, I'm late, you know. So you just go, for fuck's sake, Clark.
Yeah.
It's like you believe why people be like, fucking Clark.
Right, you believe
he's not Superman, he's a twat.
You believe why people wouldn't fire him immediately either, because he's still a likable fella. You know, like, he's late again, but he's really good with faxing, or he's the one who can fix the printer, or some shit like that.
And Henry Cavill just looks like Henry Cavill with some glasses on. He's like, hey, my name's Clark Kent. I'm going to whip my hair back. Right, ladies? Like, no, be a twat.
Yeah, be a twat. Idiot. Yeah.
Be a dork. Like, fucking comb your hair so it looks really stupid. Look different. You don't just like take glasses,
so it looks really stupid.
It just reminds me of that Batman sketch where like he puts Batman's talking to Superman. Superman puts his glasses on. And he's like, Clark, where did Superman go? It just reminds me of that. It's stupid.
Yeah. Oh man.
That scary face.
Those things are great. I love Christian Bale's Batman, no joke, but at the same time, all the memes and all the videos made afterwards just sort of make that whole movie worth it by itself.
Yeah. was like, the worst thing is that when you watch Batman Begins back, that's not even the voice he uses. Like, he just kind of like deepens his voice a bit, like kind of like Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, well, you want to make sure that nobody identifies you by your voice anyway. So why wouldn't you disguise your voice a little bit?
Yeah, but instead of like, it's like, well, it's like I'm being like screamed at by a metalhead. What's going on?
Where's Rachel?
It's like raining blood. It's like, is this Batman or is this fucking Slayer?
Or is this Nathan Explosion right now? What's going on here?
You guys, I'm on a major Dethklok binge at the moment. Just got back into them.
Oh man,
getting hold of the TV series because I only ever watched series 1 and 2, and there are 4, and kind of like a movie thing now as well. So
that's cool.
Nathan Explosion is like when I think about people I would like to cosplay, he's probably like the number one. I'm kind of growing my hair out at the moment, so all I'd need to do is just put like the face paint on and like maybe do like black fingernails and stuff, and that's it. I'm done. I'm there.
And then just be like, would you like some coffee?
Real coffee from the hills of Colombia.
Oh man, like I love that show. I haven't watched all of it, but I want there to be more to watch all the time for the rest of my life, which is why I haven't watched all of it. But I love that like they had like a coffee jingle that killed like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah,
they dropped that
who traveled hundreds of thousands of miles to see them play one song, which is a coffee jingle.
Fucking great, like a bunch of zombies, really. Yeah, that was kind of weak, but it worked.
I see.
It worked.
It works as well because it's literally the only word that stays in all of the titles of the movies.
I've got to say that was one of the least painful segues you've ever made.
I'm showing
most
you mercy.
Most of them are like a horrible splinter to the eye.
Hey!
Oh, God, that fucking scene.
That was a great scene.
It is, and it's still. I've watched it. I think this is the first time I've watched the movie like for years, and I've seen that clip again and again because it's always on lists, and people when they're talking about horror movies from the time and video nasties, like that scene is always shown, and it still really makes me cringe.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's.
I had a big smile on my face because I thought they're going to cut away, and they didn't.
No, they didn't cut away at all. It was amazing.
No. That's Lucio Fulci.
Nice.
My girlfriend was sat there, she's looking at me going, no. No, I was like, yeah. She's like, no. She's like, oh, no.
Yep.
Like, oh my fucking God, it's horrible.
Yep.
It's great. But then we're getting...
Yeah, you introduced us to Zombie 2, whatever you want to call it.
Zombie 2 Zombie Electric Boogaloo.
Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yes.
And even though it was for free on YouTube, I went ahead and watched it on Amazon because it was only like £1 to rent it in HD.
Cool.
So
it's a heavy cost.
You might have.
Yes.
It might have been the
my pound of Flesh Eaters.
Yes.
I'm not sure what versions are on YouTube because I've got the Arrowhead Blu-ray release, which.
That's what I think this was.
Lovely, absolutely lovely.
It's the one from a couple of years ago, yeah?
Yeah, it's like really well put together. There's been a lot of... Arrowhead are really good at it. Like, I've got a Videodrome release. It's like in a box set, and it's got an art book, lots of David Cronenberg shorts, and the movie and special features. And they Arrowhead always put lots of care into all their releases, even if it's like a lesser-known cult movie. And the stuff they put together for Zombie Flesh Eaters is the boxes, the artwork's nice in the box. There's a really nice thick book inside with like interviews and the history about the script, why the whole controversy over the name in Italy, the video nasty stuff.
I love that stuff though.
Yeah, and they've got like loads of special features and interviews. And when I started the movie up, so we put it on, and so you go to play movie, and then I had 3 choices. I had Zombie Flesh Eaters, Zombie, or Zombie 2.
Oh wow!
And I thought,
okay.
So I put Zombie Flesh Eaters on because I assumed that I assumed they're all uncut. I don't know. I looked on the back of the box and didn't really say anything. So from everything
do you think maybe
I saw
Zombie 2 is in just like pure Italian or?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Maybe that's the ultimately uncut one because Italy are mental in terms of violence. Because Jesus Christ, in their movies that is. yeah, so I'm not sure, but it was really nice.
Before you move on, I will just incidentally say thank you for mentioning Videodrome, because I completely forgotten about it. But I had this video as a kid, and you should really never watch this video as a kid. But I'm going to store it in my back pocket for maybe in 5 casts time, because that would be great to watch again.
Videodrome's a fucking masterpiece. But yeah. So the Blu-ray version, I started. It had a really nice little introductory bit from Ian McCulloch, who played Peter West, I think his character's name was, but I kept nearly calling him Frank.
Yeah. I wondered if that's where they got the inspiration from.
Yeah, I actually rewound it when I saw that. I was like, wait, West. What was his first name? And I actually went back. Peter. Oh, man.
If it was Frank, you'd just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I would have jumped up and ran in circles.
But yeah, it had a nice little introductory bit from him talking about, he admitted that he was he didn't watch the film after he'd made it. He was quite sour on it, and he said I finally got around to watching it a few years ago, and I was actually pleasantly surprised that it's really nicely put together and a lot more artistic in places than I thought it was. Which there is some really nice shots in the movie, which really surprised me, because I'd forgotten how nice some of it is actually shot.
Yeah.
I was surprised as well. I thought it would be, especially when you said it was a video nasty. Yeah. I thought it was going to be kind of really low quality. So I was pleasantly surprised as well.
Yeah, you're thinking Driller Killer or Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of
deliberately grungy kind of feel.
But yeah. So really nice introduction from him, and then the movie started, and it's I think the Blu-ray is good because it didn't clean up the image too much, because that's a problem I think of a lot of movies, horror movies in particular from this time, is I think the lower quality sometimes adds to the atmosphere. A lot of these horror movies. Agree. So if you go back to something like Evil Dead and you clean it up and you digitally remaster it, it's not going to look as good, because it's not going to look as dingy and grimy and just nasty. Yeah. But yeah, so I was introduced to this film a good few years ago. It was just around the time when, because obviously Zombie Flesh Eaters was, like you said, a video nasty. And it was around the time they started to finally unban these films over here. Because I remember it was a big thing when Evil Dead 1 was unbanned. This VHS distributor immediately snapped up the rights and released all 3 movies on the same week. They're release all of them, even though Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 were fine. They were just release all of them as special trilogy, because people will buy the shit out, and they knew they would. So Channel 4, this is when Channel 4 had a bit more, some testicles behind them, so they're just showing shitty reality TV shows. They started having a series of film nights. It was called Uncut, I think, and Mark Kermode would have a little he'd introduce the film and he'd talk about it, and he talked about Zombie Flesh Eaters and the work of Lucio Fulci and what it did for the Italian film industry in terms of horror and all that. And so Channel 4 showed it, and I just watched Dawn of the Dead, which my mum recorded off TV for me. Because obviously, after Resident Evil as well, I was on an absolute zombie high. I'd loved Dawn of the Dead. Resident Evil 2 was just one of my favourite games at the time. And then my mum was like, there's another zombie film that was banned. And I'm like, oh, I've got to see this. So she recorded that for me, and I watched it, and I was like, this is fucking horrifying. I love it. And then I forgot about it. And then it wasn't until when we were at uni, actually, and I just watched the Trilogy of the Dead again for the umpteenth time, and I was listening to the soundtrack, the Dawn of the Dead soundtrack, when I was doing work, and in the suggested videos, because as you get when you listen to music and on YouTube, you get the suggested videos and all that stuff, and it was the Zombie Flesh Eaters theme. I was like, I remember that, and I put it on, and I was like, shit, I remember this movie being really good. And then Brad Jones covered it a few years later. I was like, I should get around to watching that at some point. And then finally Arrowhead released it on Blu-ray. I was like, that's a perfect excuse for me to finally own it. And then we started doing this podcast, so I held off watching it to pick it at some point. So yeah, I've got good memories of this. So I wanted to pick it because I had good memories, and I knew it was a bit trashy, but it's got a lot of I think it is trashy, but because of that, and because it's video nasty, it gets a bad rap with some people, because they think it's just a trashy horror film.
I think it has a lot of merit for the genre, actually.
Exactly, and also that a horror movie can be trashy and still somewhat artistic as well, I think. So I was a bit nervous and apprehensive going into watching this because I was like, I hope it's as good as I remember it. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I still had a great time, even if it's absolutely out of its fucking mind at times. So anyway, I've waffled on too long. So shall we get into the actual plot? Or did either of you want to say anything about it? Or?
Well, I want to speak a little bit about it because I will say that it was a great special effects movie. That is the best thing I'll take away from it. But like the eye scene that we mentioned earlier was amazing. Like it looked like it was her face that wood splinter was going towards her eye, and it actually went into her eye, and that was amazing. I want to applaud him for that. I really do. But like, why didn't she just bat it out of the way?
Because it's an Italian zombie movie.
I mean, when I was like watching, I was like, no, don't let you're serious. Lift your hand off whatever it's got and bat it out of the way. Move your head and knock it out of the way with your tongue or something. Just don't let it go directly into your eyeball. Why are you doing this? That's all I really wanted to say, actually. You guys can continue.
What I will say is, if we ever cover any other Lucio Fulci movies in the future, which I think we should, because The Beyond's still on my list, because I think he made some really good, solid, nasty horror movies. He had a thing for eyes. He really has a thing for eyes. I think
the zombie for the poster for Zombie 2 is missing an eye as well.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got like this creepy ass kind of grin.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of zombies that had like a mound of worms or maggots on the eyeball as well. I mean, like the zombies in this movie were as convincing as anything they can make today, too. I would like to say in most cases. Sorry, Tom.
What I really liked was the texture of the skin as well.
Yeah,
and I think quite a lot of the Resident Evil 1 zombies, especially in that opening FMV with that first zombie, the skin kind of has the same kind of texture. Like it's kind of like almost like cracked paint.
Yeah, they look gross as well, which obviously the zombies in Day of the Dead looked. But obviously, no, the original Dawn of the Dead, they didn't look so. They were just people painted like orange, or not orange. Fuck am I talking about? That's I'm thinking of the Harry Christian's clothes. They were painted like grey or somewhat green.
Yeah, for 99% of stuff, especially stuff made nowadays, it's just pop in a couple of contact lenses and grey up the skin a bit.
Yeah,
and that's it.
And like Walking Dead in particular has this thing for making like their gums recede and their lips recede for some reason, which is weird. Because they're like, oh, look at their teeth. But considering the budget for zombie flesh eaters, I'm just gonna call it zombie because it's easier.
I wanted to talk to you about the budget because the budget really confuses me. Has that figure on Wikipedia been adjusted for inflation or what?
Oh, you mean the fact that it only cost 410,000?
Oh, okay, it's a typo, right?
Yeah, because if you look at the on the right hand side, it says budget and box office. So it cost under $500,000 to make, and recouped about $3 million, which for a film like this, especially an Italian horror film, is fucking huge. Really. But yeah, there's a typo in the actual write up where it says produced on a small budget of $410 million.
The same typo is further down under release as well. I'm looking at it and it says 410 million budget. Pretty sure billion worldwide.
Pretty sure it's not.
Wow.
I think those should be full stops, decimal points, and not commas.
Yeah, wasn't 410 million. Like, if that's how much they had, then it explains the makeup. But you can get better actors,
right?
But yeah, so it's.
I'm quite happy if 419 million of that was spent making that awesome fucking Caribbean music.
Yeah, that got stuck in my head.
That was amazing.
Because we watched it yesterday morning while we were eating breakfast, like all the movies to watch because it's fucking gross. And then before we went out to see Bladerunner, and all day I had dun 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 stuck in my head. I've had that. It sounds
like
music.
Awesome, like like the Costa del Sol. It's not quite the same as the music from Costa del Sol and Final Fantasy VII, but it's similar.
It gets stuck in your head. Like the soundtrack's good. What's weird? I was saying to my girlfriend, like, what's weird is that the rest of the soundtrack, I think it was Fabio Frizzi who worked with Lucio Fulci a lot. The rest of the soundtrack is like far superior than the actual main theme.
Yeah,
like the main zombie. Like, I think the main theme is good, but everything else in the movie soundtrack itself is better. But it all gets stuck in your head like, for days. it's still stuck in my head. So, but yeah, I love right off the bat, like as soon as the opening scene on the boat reminded me just how much I love the designs of the zombies in this, because they look like they fucking stink.
Oh yeah,
I loved
that big
it.
bloated one.
Before even that, I loved the cold open as well.
Yeah, just get straight into it. Although the story I heard is that all the stuff in New York was a last minute change to the script because the studio were like, well, we're going to call it Zombie 2 in Italy. Even though it's not a sequel, even though the director said it's not a fucking sequel to Dawn of the Dead, what are you doing? They're like, well, that's what we're going to do. So here's a little bit more money. Go and film in New York so we can try and tie it in. He's like, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, fine, all right.
That's how much money?
Things,
okay.
Because it's one of those things that, like, if he says no, they could just turn around and say, do you want to make your movie?
You're right. Right.
Like, all right.
So, I guess I'll write in the worm scene then.
Yeah, because supposedly the script was written, I think before Dawn of the Dead was actually released. So it was a flesh-eating zombie thing, but it was written somewhat prior. They might have written it around the same time, but like the screenwriter, because the zombies are different in this.
Right.
I pointed out to Kitty afterwards, like, actually no, during the film, I just said to her, have you noticed anything different about the zombies? And she said, yeah, they look far more serene and like almost peaceful than the Romero ones, which are like kind of snarling and just like arms stretching out, where these ones like they kind of like shuffle around, their eyes, most like 90% of their eyes are closed and their heads are just hanging.
Yeah.
And they're just it's, you know, because it's hinted at that it's like a voodoo thing, but you don't really know, which is the right way.
Sure enough, your man was going for a swim. He was having a whale of a time, or shark of a time.
So yeah, that was that's a really weird scene.
But you know what though?
It's a fun scene.
Yeah, it's a fun scene, except for the whole women being naked thing. That's like, okay, come on, really? But the part that I liked was that the zombie was underwater without any kind of breathing apparatus.
Yeah, it was. When we were watching, I was like, Jesus, that guy is not letting out any oxygen. Like, there's no bubbles coming out of that motherfucker.
Right. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some great special effects here. Like, that guy, to me, he was either an actor who just had an amazing ability to hold his breath, or he just took a whole lot of extra scenes. Like, okay, let's go underwater again, film for 30 seconds, come back up. Underwater, 30 seconds, come back up.
Yeah.
Or it was actually just another, like, a plastic body that was well animated. I can't really tell, to be honest. It all looked really good. The fact that he was attacking the shark, though, was a little weird. He was like, come here, shark. I'm going to get a bite at you.
Again, the story with that, because there's, you know, it's so like low budget and there's always like really cool stories that come from this stuff. Supposedly it wasn't the stuntman that did that. It was the sharks, the actual shark handler, which made sense because then he'd know how to grip onto it without hurting it. Because the guy, the stuntman they hired, got sick the day before shooting. Did he though, or did he look at that script and go, you know, I don't think I want to go underwater with a shark. It's like, sorry, what's that line there? Oh,
puts his hand in its mouth.
you put your fake arm in the shark's mouth and he rips it off. Do I have to do that? It's like,
feeling a bit poorly.
Do I? Oh, you know what? I think I had some bad. I had some bad meat. We had toast this morning. I think my son might have been off. Maybe the bread was dodgy. So I feel sick. Because I think I'd feel sick. But anyway, but yeah. So I really love the look of this movie. But yeah. So like you said, Tom, it's cold opening. Opens with a boat. Actually, no, it doesn't open the boat. It opens with Dr. Menard shooting someone.
Yeah, that's what mine opened up with. It was like, here's a gun, boom, all right, zombie, or whatever the hell it's called.
Which I believe was definitely going to be the original opening. It's like, tell the crew the boat can leave now. It goes right straight into the theme, and then we open up with a boat just kind of floating around in the bay in New York City. Again, so many stories from this. Supposedly, the part where they're filming and it's very close to that passenger ship.
Yeah,
apparently wasn't scripted.
Oh wow!
It just nearly happened. So like right in the script, they say it. And the two Coast Guards were supposedly off-duty police officers, so they actually had their own uniforms.
Wow.
So that's the story. I'm not sure how much is that true, because one of them looked pretty Italian.
It costs millions to get that kind of method acting nowadays.
Right.
But yeah,
and they've got their own costume.
Yeah, so we open on the boat. They go on. Really looks immediately just looks absolutely
I was gonna
disgusting.
Say, yes, and I think Resident Evil takes a lot from this. They must have seen this movie because I've seen a lot of zombie movies, and yeah, there are kind of like disgusting kind of vistas sometimes, but like this with the kind of the cans and the rotting food and everything, it just like the first thing I thought was this could be a room in Resident Evil, like a little cabin or something.
And again, like it was so nice, and you can almost imagine how it smelt as well because it just looks.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's all. Oh, that shouldn't be that color. Oh, ugh.
It's so bad. The guy gets back up and sends like his mate down there instead.
Yeah. I'll fix the sail. You go down here and do this thing for sure.
He's like, yeah, it's fine down there, honest. Ha, dickhead. And then obviously he wakes up, super fat zombie man, who. And a really, really cool. I really liked it when he doesn't immediately kill him, but he knocks the guy to the ground, and he's like trying to fight him off. And because he's so rotten, as he's gripping hold of him, he just like tears part of the skin off.
Yeah,
and he just looks at it, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then it takes a massive bite out of his jugular. Like, ooh,
yeah.
Ooh.
I love the blood in this movie as well. It looks like tomato sauce, like tomato juice even. Like Bloody Mary kind of.
Like, oh, tasty.
Yeah.
Kills our poor old Mr. Coast Guard. Kills that motherfucker dead.
Yeah. But that's one thing I like. Just
upstairs.
Real quick, I like about this movie was the like I said, special effects. And when he ripped the arm off, it looked like it ripped off his actual arm, like a part of his arm. Instead of like, I mean, yeah, he was holding something, sure, and I know it was like an effect placed on the arm, but there's like a little bit of depth to the wound that made it look like he was. Yeah. Like deeper than his arm. It looked really good. It was consistent throughout the whole movie. Every time somebody got bit, it looked like they got really fucking bit. And I just wanted to say that out loud while we were on that scene.
So the gore effects in this are really, really good.
Yeah.
Every time, like you said, every time someone's bitten, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
I can see why you're screaming in pain. Because that looks like that sucked. But yeah, so the boat turns out to. So yeah, that's it. He comes upstairs. The other policeman's like, "Hey, freeze, buddy." That guy looks kind of dead, and there's blood around his mouth. His eyes are closed. I don't think he's listened to you. Freeze, buddy. I don't think it's. I said freeze.
Freeze, guy.
Bang, bang, bang.
Freeze, friend.
Freeze, buddy. And then he obviously shoots him. Doesn't shoot him in the head. And I love the way he kind of just like flops into the water. It's like, boosh. Like a giant floating turd.
Now, I know we're going to get to the plot, and I want to just ask this question while we're on the scene. That zombie has no place in the story. I don't know who that guy's supposed to be, but it was
I thought it was meant to be her father.
Right.
No,
but we saw later in the movie that her father's, the actor who played her father had like hair for one,
Oh yeah.
and he was also shot in the head. So that guy couldn't be the same person. So there was somebody on the boat who was a zombie, I guess. Anyway, continue on.
I think that's when you can tell that the stuff in New York was filmed after they'd already had a completed script, because there's no way, as we see the character, obviously, that we see briefly on the island at the beginning, there's no way that character would let anyone fucking leave that he thought was infected.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
No way he'd let them off. So yeah, that's the one thing where it's like, well, you got to have a movie, I guess. But I imagine the way it was going to originally open would be he shoots it in the head, then you get the credits, and then we'd have the introduction of Peter West and I think her name was Julia. I can't quite remember.
It doesn't matter.
The character's name. It's Anne Bowles apparently. I imagine it would just be them getting to the boat with Brian and his girlfriend because she's looking for her father.
Yeah,
I imagine that's how it was originally gonna open. And obviously they were like, oh, you have to link it to Dawn of the Dead somehow. So even the dogs agree. But yeah,
fine.
so that's just this is all just to set up that this is a boat belonging to the father of Anne, played by Tisa Farrow, who's in a couple of other Luci Fulci movies. Actually, she was a regular, and then we meet Ian McCulloch with his wonderful comb over. Wonderful comb over.
Oh yeah, perfect comb
Ian,
over. Can't even tell he's balding.
Yeah, just Ian. He plays a reporter because he's seen wars. He's seen things. And they end up for some reason banding together to investigate what happened to her father. It's a really simple plot, and they
I've only just put it together that she is related to Mia Farrow, and now I completely see it, and I can't believe I didn't see that before. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. She like I said, she was in a few. I think she stopped acting around the late 80s. I think she might have stopped, but she was in a few other Italian horror movies. I know she was in one other that's infamous called Anthropophagus, which was another video nasty because it's very violent. But yeah, so it's simple setup. Our characters end up meeting with two others, one of which is Brian, who was one of my favourite characters in the whole movie.
Wait just
Brian
a second.
was badass.
Because you skipped over a part that I wanted to talk about when Peter West and what's her face, Anne, is that what it is? Yeah. Anne goes to the boat because she's like, well, it's my father's boat, and I'm going to find out what happened to my dad. And the boat is docked at night. Yeah, the boat is docked at night, and there's like police guarding a policeman guarding the boat. So she sneaks on Metal Gear Solid style using barrels and all that kind of stuff. And I love how she like sneaks, stops, waits for no reason, gets the all clear because he wasn't looking at her anyway, and then goes on into the boat. And then she gets into the boat, and then Peter West is already there. And he grabs her mouth because that's what you do. You grab her mouth. I don't want you to scream. Don't scream. Scary situation. I mean that part's okay. I can kind of understand if she was like, "Oh my God, there's a guy," and then she might scream. That's fine. My thing is that like he's like, we have to do this idea so that when the cop comes in, he won't arrest us. Let me make out with you.
I'm like, oh, Peter, you
just follow my lead
with the ladies.
Yeah, it was like, you know what though? It's her father's boat. She wouldn't have been in any trouble. She could have been like, this is my dad's boat. I'm trying to find my dad. And the cop would have been like, yeah, I understand. They wouldn't be like, let's throw her in front of a judge and make her plead her case to the law or whatever. It would have been a completely understandable situation. Peter West, however, he would have been taken away. Oh, this reporter's snooping in on a story that we're trying to keep quiet. Get that person out of here. So she had nothing to lose. But Peter West smoozes his way into bed with her. And then the cop's like, hey, what are you two youngins doing here making out on this boat you're not supposed to be on? Oh, we're so sorry. We're looking for a romantic situation.
I really love the fact that then they start arguing like an actual couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it works. He's like, just fucking get off the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think he saw right through it and he's like, just get off the boat. Please just get off the fucking boat.
Go. I don't want to do paperwork. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm almost off my shift.
In fact, that'd have been a great line if he's like, look, you're not fooling anyone. Just fucking get off the boat.
Right. Right.
Like she's like, oh, see you later, officer, and he just goes, he's just sighs, like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, that was a weird line too. She's like, see you later, officer. And just leaves. Like, why are you, you're not friends with him? What are you doing?
Yeah, and he's like, what are you doing? He just shakes his head like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Are you trying to coerce a threesome right now? What's going on here?
I ain't interested. I got a wife. But yeah, I don't know why I'd forgotten about it. It's really, really strange. It's just like, I've got an idea. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Like, so I'll just get on top of you, and then we'll act like we're making out. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Peter West scores again.
Fist pump. All right.
Best journalist ever. Worst journalist ever. He doesn't write anything. Doesn't take any photos.
Right?
A fucking camera would have helped.
Right.
But
he's just gonna go off on his memory only. Like, yeah, I remember seeing all these things. Do you have any proof? Nope. Just take my word for it. So.
But yeah, so they start heading towards the island. We do see this is because it's one thing I really want to talk about. We see in between that and then getting there, we cut to the island and we start to know that there's something really bad happening.
Yeah.
And we meet I loved Brian, obviously the guy they meet who drives them there on the boat. I loved Brian because he was a total badass, but my favourite character in the whole movie is Dr. Menard because Richard Johnson, it's so fucking good. Like how they got an actor like that is beyond me. Like this really, I'm pretty sure he was a classically trained actor. With the Shakespearean company, the Shakespeare company, because there's an interview with Ian McCulloch where he basically says, the movie didn't have one of the best scripts, but Richard Johnson gave every scene his full, he gave it 100% every time.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's just because and even though because they had to because the quality of the cameras they used, a lot of the actors had to redub their own lines, but he had such a good screen presence, and there's moments where he's this doctor and he's trying to figure out what's going on because he doesn't want to believe that it is magical and it is voodoo because it could be. And you really do get this feeling that he's completely at his wit's end.
Yeah.
He's like, I fucking tried everything.
Yeah.
And it just won't fucking work. And everyone else is leaving and he stays there because he's a doctor and doctors want to save people.
Yeah, he's even using his own blood and everything.
Yeah, he keeps doing it and he keeps repeating his work again and again. He keeps doing more tests, and because he wants to save people, he wants to find a reason why this is happening because he's a doctor. It's like, doctors, they want to save people because it's programmed into them, really. That it's like, why can't I figure this out? I need to figure this out because I need to save people and stop this from happening. And it's amazing that a movie this low budget and everything had an actor that was that fucking good.
Yeah. I definitely respect all of his performances, in that movie. Yeah. Everything he was doing, just the fact that he couldn't look when he killed somebody because he didn't want to kill somebody, that just falls in line with his character. The fact that he was so adamant about there has to be a logical reason for this to happen. I'm going to figure out what it is. And in the meantime, I'm going to abandon my wife and my house. But anyway.
It's okay, because Miguel's there with his fucking dog. Yeah. Miguel, who's like, guard the house and make sure no one gets in. He's like, fuck it, I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she's dead. Fucking Miguel. I hope he died horribly.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to imagine, just real quick, I'd like to imagine Miguel's still sweeping while all the shit's happening. Nobody does anything to him. He's like, oh well, sweep, that one spot.
Even the zombies hate him. They hate him so much they won't even kill him. Yeah. You suck, Miguel. It's just sweeps after all their shit. But there's that wonderful moment where, we're skipping ahead a bit, but when I think the character's name's one of the natives, Lucas, and Dr. Menard's talking to him, and there's that moment where he almost says it to him with this really sad essence of hopefulness when he just says, "Is it voodoo?" He's hoping that he's gonna say it's definitely voodoo. He's like, "Is it?" He wants there's that moment where he's just so out of his mind in terms of trying to figure out what it is that he's just he'll take anything because he asks him. And Lucas gives him some kind of answer my grandfather said this, and he's like, nonsense, it can't be voodoo. No, it's fucking stupid. The science, the doctor part of him, the medically trained part of him, kicks back in. He's like, no, it can't be voodoo. That's stupid. There's a reason. There's a reason. And yeah, he's just every scene he's in. I was just fully trained on him. Just I can't stop watching. He's got such a good screen presence, and I knew I'd recognised him. And he's in not the crap remake with Liam Neeson, but the original The Haunting, which came out in '63. He's the doctor in that. I think he's a psychologist, and that's one of it's regarded as one of the best psychological horror films ever made. And I knew I recognised him because I'd seen him in that. And he's fucking great in that as well. And yeah, he's just I don't know how they got him. Because they got all these other actors, the actor that played Brian is credited as Al Cliver. That's not his real name. His real name is Pierluigi Conti. He's Italian as fuck.
Yeah.
But, okay, Al Cliver. Okay, Al. That Ian McCulloch was in a lot of horror films, Italian horror films at the time. A lot of these little lesser known actors that were in a lot of exploitation horror films at the time. And then you get someone like him, and he's just so fucking good in this movie. So obviously, we don't know what happens to characters you like in his films, but
right.
Yeah, we get these cutaways to him, and you get this idea that he's trying. And then actually, when you were saying, Chris, about how he can't even look at people when he kills them, he has to cover them up.
Yeah,
because he can't bring himself to that. And there's that brilliant moment where one of his friends has turned, and even though he's covered up, he just can't bring himself to do it, and he looks just horrified and just distressed, and he looks absolutely heartbroken when he does it. And it's just a fucking zombie movie. It's great. But so we've got all these wonderful performances from Richard Johnson, all this great stuff going on, and then because of course it's a horror movie, so we've got to have our tit scene.
Absolutely. She's like, I'm gonna, because we're gonna get back to the plot where we were, and that's after like the reporter Peter West and Anne. They meet these guys who have a boat after bribing a taxi guy to get him there, and those two guys are like, yeah, we have a boat, but apparently they're just going on vacation. So it doesn't really make any sense for them to take on any passengers, but they're going towards the area, so they take on the passengers. And then just like in the middle of nothing, the wife, she's like, I'm gonna go take some pictures. Sure. Strips down to her thong. Wait. What? And then she's just going to get scuba gear on now. It's like, no, you're supposed to wear clothes with that.
I just want to add, it wasn't just Pervo Frank West. Not Frank West.
Peter West.
Damn it.
Peter West.
I want to call him Frank West so bad.
Yeah.
I know so.
It's not just him staring, Anne's staring as well,
yeah,
like the whole time.
Everyone is
back
staring.
to both of them, they're just staring.
And I was thinking how awesome it would be if somebody would clip those out and make a meme out of it. Like, let's say you have like a Trump speech, and then you just cut away to those guys like looking at him like, what? And then you have Brian like eating. He doesn't even care.
Yeah, Brian's eating.
I love it. He's just like no.
Gotta keep my strength up.
She does it all the time, guys. But it's the fact that so she strips down and she's got like the skimpiest of thongs on.
Yeah,
like G-strings. And then she puts a swimming cap on.
Yeah, gotta protect her hair.
I gotta keep my hair straight.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, you're so free or whatever it is that you like to just be naked in front of strangers, but you make sure you have the cap on? Whatever.
Yeah, so we get that, and so, again, some really nicely shot stuff.
Yeah, the underwater scenes were really good. Like, everything down there looked awesome. I was like, oh, I'm watching an underwater documentary with this naked girl swimming around, just snapping in random directions. You know,
and then we get the character around just going, oh my god, look in the distance, oh, it's a shark, oh no, it's a shark coming. So you're like, oh no, the shark does not look like it gives a shit, because it just swims away, like over her constantly. It's like, yeah, I'm not hungry, I'm fine. Well, so you think, oh, how's she gonna get out of this? What's gonna happen? Oh no, there's a zombie underwater. Ah!
Yeah, this is what I liked, is that she was scared of the shark, so she kind of hid from the shark. Then the zombie attacked her, and by the time she got away from the zombie, she was like, fuck it, I'll take my chances with the shark.
And then the zombie's like, fuck, that shark's bigger, meatier, tastier. And we have quite a long sequence of shark versus zombie.
Yeah, a lot of them. It was really strange.
I didn't know I was signing up for shark versus zombie, but I'm kind of happy that I witnessed it.
You know, there's jumping the shark, and then there's eating the shark. But and that's just reminded. Apparently, for a while, there was one of the advertisements, like the commercials for Windows movie player, like media player, was that shot from Zombie. That was like in the commercial. Yeah, it's really weird. It's just like, you know,
by Windows, we've got sharks, zombies, and tits.
Yeah, it's like it's just the same where like the zombies like wrestling with him. Like, what the fuck, man? It's so weird. Yeah, I'll see if I can
so
find
random.
It. It's really weird, but yeah, that scene just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really does.
And the character's like, well, that was weird.
All right, let's keep going.
That's a good point. Wait, that's just real. I've just realized something. So that happens.
Yeah.
I don't think they know it's zombies at that point, but she's like, someone attacked me underwater. That was weird.
Right.
And then when they get to the island, they kind of dismiss the whole zombie thing. Like, there was a guy underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna.
And that was before they got to Bad Place Island, which everyone like nearby knows not to go near.
Yeah.
And even they say we're likely to believe, like, you know, the locals. So, but yeah, we'll still go there.
It's like, Matul's bad news, man. Don't fucking go to Matul. It's fucking cursed.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But yeah, when they get there, like, it took me by surprise that they're just going to ignore everything that happened up to that point. And then when you have the doctor who's like, oh yeah, no, everything's fine. Hey, go check on my wife. You're a bunch of strangers. I'm not going to bother introducing you all in the car that we have. You can just have my car too. Take the car, go up to the mansion, say hi to my wife. But before that happens, is the infamous eyeball scene that we were just talking about previously.
Yeah.
Which,
and tit scene times 2 as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Long shower where she just pets herself. I guess she was a good girl that day, so she was petting her head and rubbing her neck under the shower, just looking out. And like another thing about the makeup is that she was wearing some waterproof makeup. That's for sure. Yeah. Like there's no way that her eyes were like that, like all the blush and their blue and the eyelashes and all that kind of stuff were like natural. But she would just like pet her head, shower. This is how I shower. Just stand in the water and pet myself. Okay, I'm going to leave now, and then I'm going to wear this gigantic circus tent dress that I have that does not fit in any way. Like, it hangs all the way down to her elbow from, like, the head hole, and then zombie suddenly, you know?
I like the fact that the zombie seems to do a perimeter of her house, making sure to, like, rub up against everything on the way.
Right.
So she can, like, hear it go all the way around.
Right.
Yeah, the zombies in this, they do act differently. They're a bit more, I don't know, like they're just violent. But
yeah, like
they are also a bit more intelligent as well. Like they know how to use stairs and stuff, like no problem.
And open, and they also smash their doors, but whatever. Well, no, open doors. Yeah, because
but they seem to make them a bit more. It's almost like they hint at somewhat that they're a bit more stronger as well. There's some other like force behind them.
Yeah, but, well. That's zombie movies for you, you know? Like, every time it's like, okay, we need them to be shambling, mindless monsters, so they're shambling, mindless monsters. Okay, now they smell blood or something, so now they're super strong, and they're able to smash through, like, iron doors, and nothing can stop them. It's impossible. They'll overwhelm anything. It's like, if you're in a bunker, they're never getting in the bunker. They can't break concrete. Even though if you have all the masses of the bodies pressed against something, it wouldn't really matter because it wouldn't compile, you know, it would just be like several things pushing against the door perhaps in waves, but they wouldn't move in orchestra, and you know they wouldn't like move simultaneously is what I mean to say. They wouldn't like, okay, 1 2 3 push, 1 2 3 push, or anything like that. So it's just really strange that, like, not strange, it's silly in my opinion. That's in almost all zombie movies. They're strong when they need to be for the plot, they're weak when they need to be for the plot. That's just been a universal rule every time I've seen a zombie movie. So
yeah,
and speed difference as well.
Yeah,
I'm slow and shambling, but I'm gonna tear your skin off.
Yeah,
with my hands.
I'm gonna grab your hair and then just calmly pull your eyeball into a wooden splinter that I made. It's like, no. The zombie would be like crawling into the room at any cost. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna get you. You just stay right there. I'm gonna find my way in.
Well, it serves her right for daring to shout at Richard Johnson. She deserves.
Yeah, how dare she?
You know, I'm thinking back to the scene where because it's a small scene where she's arguing with Dr. Menard, and she's like, "Look, can we just leave?" And he's like, "No, I've got to figure out what's going on." And there's that moment where it lingers on her eyes and zooms in a bit, and it's almost like looking back now, it's like Lucio Fulci's going, "God, those are some pretty eyes. Wouldn't it be a shame if something happened to them?"
It's so funny that you mention that as well, because I feel like this movie has got a kind of fetish for eyes. I'm not sure if there's something they do with the cinematography, but like with the what's her name, Anne as well, and like quite a few people in this film had striking eyes, and they did kind of like linger like on their eyes. I don't think it would, you know. Obviously, I think some of it is, haha, we're about to do something really nasty with someone's eye.
But no, I mean, there's so many other scenes where where the eye thing won't happen to these people, so there's really no justification for it. Like the zoom in scene that Matt was talking about, where they're like, she just argued with Richard, what's his name, or whatever, the doctor, and they move the camera into her face, and she's kind of like looking and then smirking. You can kind of say, okay, that's the scene that sets up for her eye to be gouged out. But like when what's her name gets naked for no real reason, everyone's just like, there's so many like face shots, eye shots, all kind of looking at the camera like, wow, pretty girl, I guess. Is she really gonna get naked? Like, everyone should be like, are you serious? Here, put a scuba suit on. You don't have a scuba suit? How are you not? What do you have a boat and you don't have a scuba suit for someone who has underwater photography as her hobby? Does she just jump down there with like a G-string really every single time? Do you know how well that G-string would hold on? It wouldn't. Whenever she's trying to swim, water currents would just lift that off the entire time. That's why you have a whole bodysuit that you would wear. I'm getting away from myself.
It's not that I was trying to notice, by the way, but the strap for the scuba gear that was wrapped around between her legs was thicker than her actual underwear.
Yep. It's like, damn, that looks painful.
She looked like she was
It looked really painful.
The director wants me to get naked, so here I go. It looked like she didn't have her heart in it whatsoever, and I mean, she shouldn't have because it's a stupid scene.
It really is. Yeah, it feels very out of place with the rest of the movie as well, which is, you know, really, like, in terms of, like, zombies as well, like, it's quite grounded in terms of, it's not like a massive, like, hundreds, it's not apocalyptic, except obviously the
tacked on
stuff
ending
that they forced them to add, the tacked on stuff, like, it's just like it's a small island, but but you said about the eyes, it's a Lucio Fulci thing. He was you know, if you look at his Wikipedia page or even his IMDb, it just says many of his films tend to contain an injury to the eye, in which a character's eyeball is either pierced or pulled out of its socket, usually in lingering close-up detail. He had a thing for eyes. He really did. Like, there's stuff like that in, I think, House in the Cemetery does it. The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, you know, a lot of his stuff. It's like, I love eyes, because it freaks out. A lot of stuff with eyes really freaks people out.
Yeah.
Because oof. But
I mean, that's how you get real personal with somebody. If you can like hover something over their eye, it's like, okay, you can see it getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and then it's like, oh, it's piercing the veil now. It's pushed into my brain. Oh my god, that's horrifying. So
exactly, and it's the thought of seeing that thing approaching you as well.
Yeah.
You know, he probably would very much like that scene, that sequence in Dead Space 2. I know the one. Yeah. Where you have to pierce your eye. He'd probably love that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Unfortunately, he's not with us. Oh, this is great. I love this. Apparently, he sounds like a 1960s American from New York.
It sounds like a Canadian from South Park when you do that voice for me. Hey, buddy.
It's wonderful, buddy.
Yeah.
I love it when you pierce the eye.
Perfect.
But yeah. So she's at home. There's something outside because fucking Miguel pisses off.
No, Miguel's still there. Miguel is sweeping. He's a good garden tender.
He's like, Dr. Millar's like, Miguel, like, I've seriously got to go to the hospital and sort this out. Can you please stay here and look after my wife? You know, don't let anyone near the house. He's like, si, senor, si. And then he's even does like that comedic thing where he's like sat down and he goes, and he like does like the hand wave and then gets up and fucks off with his dog.
Yeah.
And immediately you go, oh, she's so fucked. She's very skittish anyway, and understandably.
But yeah, so like after the shower scene, she gets bitten, and like she never really turns though. That's the cool thing, I think.
Well, no, because you see, because it's horrible, because it's almost like it gets in, you know, it gets in the house somehow, but it's making weird noises. It's like it's purposely fucking with her,
right?
And it's another thing. Like I said, how I love how the zombies look in this. I love how they sound as well. They don't have like groans. They just have this horrible, like deep, bassy, horrible breathing.
Yeah.
It's like they're breathing through grime and gunk. It's wonderful. But it gets in. She locks herself in a room, manages to cut some of its fingers off as it tries to get in through the door. She slams the door. Stupidly stands by the door as it starts to break through. And instead of what I would do, looking for the nearest exit in that room and then booking it, she's like, well, I'll push a dresser in front of the door and it won't be able to get through. And as she does it, the hand bursts through, grabs her by the head, and just very painfully, slowly starts to pull her out. And what I like thinking back on it, it's like it doesn't purposely pull her into the splinter. It's just trying to pull her out, and it just happens to be in the way.
Yeah.
She gets agonizingly close to it, and you keep thinking they're not going to show it. They wouldn't show it, but they show every single second of it as you see the splinter slowly pierce the eye as it gets further and further into the wood, and then it snaps off. It looks horrific, and then it continues to pull her through the door. Oh, it's horrible. And then poor old Menard.
Yeah,
I love it when the characters arrive, and
yeah, because they took the Jeep and they were told to go say hi to his wife, and so they show up and like, go inside, nice house, and then it's like 3 or 4 zombies are eating the dude's wife, and like, oh shit.
And then 2 others turn up and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it's right, because Brian takes charge and like twats one of them in the face with something, and Peter West, which will, does something that will draw inspiration from his descendant, Frank West, and he picks up the nearest thing and twats it right in the face.
Anything at all. Oh, some horns. Pop! There we go. We're good. Let's get out of here.
But that's great, because there's that scene just before then when Menard picks them up on the shore and he's telling them what's going on, and that's when you get the backstory of Anne's father, which is why I still think, which to me still shows how much the beginning in New York is tacked on, because he's telling her the story of her father. This is what happened to him, and he sent you a letter, because that makes sense. The letter is enough to make her go there.
Yeah.
The boat doesn't have to tell this. The letter itself would make her go there. And yeah, even though we'd always spoken about that scene where his friend dies and he just stands there, and the music's great for that as well. And he's just sat there looking at him, knowing he's going to get up, and he starts pacing, and he's holding the gun, and he just can't bring himself to do it. But I think he even says to him, "Look, you should leave. You should leave the island. Just go.
Yeah.
But could you maybe go and check on my wife first? She lives at the villa just up the road. It's fine.
8 miles.
Because at this, at this stage he thinks the epidemic's still on the other side of the island.
Right.
Because that's it. Because we have Lucas come up to him and say, "Oh, your friend's had an accident."
Yeah.
Fritz, the only other white man on the island. And that's when he goes in and says that. So they go off to find what happens to the wife, which is horrifying. And then he goes in, and Fritz has been bitten. And he just says, "Well, where did this happen?" And he says, "Oh, it was in the village." He's like, "What, this village? Fuck." And that's when because even, again, this is why I love the character. He finds out this village and just turns around and says, "Board the fucking doors, all the windows, everything, board it up."
Yeah. Which didn't really work out, because in the end they had to reboard everything anyway.
And then they set fire to everything. But so our heroes, having seen the horrifying remains of Menard's wife, decide to drive. Brian, as much as I love Brian, I don't know why he swerves out the way of the zombie, because he hits it anyway, and then crashes poor old Dr. Menard's Jeep into the tree, and then destroys Peter's ankle in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like pick one and do it well.
I'm like, Brian, just keep driving straight ahead, man. It's a strong Jeep. Like, just run over that motherfucker. And then we get because the scenes. It's a bit silly. Like the conquistadors come back to life, even though they've been dead for hundreds of years, so there wouldn't be anything there. But I like it because it brings back something Brian's talking about, the Spanish conquistadors that brought Christianity to the island, that kind of was fought against by the people who believed in like voodooism and like their religion. So it's almost like a subtle hint as to maybe that's what's causing it, and it's like there's like some kind of like unbalance. It never outright says it's definitely voodoo. Right.
It never really gives you a source for the thing at all, to be honest.
Exactly. And also because the drums and the singing later on, you can hear, the characters can hear as well. And what I like is that you don't know if that's the villagers causing it or trying to stop it.
Yeah, that is true.
You don't know if they're trying to conduct some kind of voodoo ritual to stop this from happening, or if they're just purposely doing it. And that's what I like about it. It doesn't outright say, "Oh, it's a zombie virus." It's a T virus. So they have to rest because poor old Peter's ankle looks like it's got a borderline compound fracture.
Yeah. Like the fact that he's walking at all is pretty crazy. But like, I don't know how he caused that sort of injury while riding in a Jeep that just gets stopped suddenly. It's like, what was he about like turning or something? I don't know. But he has like a huge red gash all the way down his ankle.
It's like exploded. It's like, was he bracing his foot against the seat in front of him or something? So they rest, and then the conquistadors start to wake up.
Yeah.
And poor old Susan, frozen in fear, gets bitten by our poster zombie.
Yep.
Old Worm Eye himself, and he rips the shit out of her jugular
Yeah,
vein.
and it looks like she had her fucking neck actually opened by that bite. It was crazy.
horrible.
But what's also funny
Yeah,
is that they
'cause
set
the
up the whole
effects
thing with Anne and Peter West, schmoozing like his family does.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't think we'll ever get off this island. Oh, we'll definitely get off this island. Hand comes out of the ground, like grabs her with his head. Oh, God. And I thought they were both just going to die because Peter couldn't stand or run or do anything. And then she was already basically frozen in fear, her head grabbed. And it sort of cuts away to, I guess her name was Susan, the naked one.
Yeah, Susan.
And
yeah, the naked one.
and then she's also frozen in fear. So it's like, oh damn, the only person that's gonna be left is Brian. That's kind of cool. I like to see how this is going. Brian shows up and like, oh, Peter, Anne are in trouble. He just goes off camera. Susan gets bit, and then it's like, oh, so he saved them somehow, or like what the heck? I wanted to see that scene. I wanted to see them fight or
I
whatever.
want more Brian kicking ass, but we do get a really. We get the brilliant gore effect of Susan having her neck ripped out, but then we also get the wonderful gore effect of Peter destroying the shit out of a zombie.
Yeah, with a wooden like tombstone or grave marker.
The cross, yeah. He wobs it and the gore just pours out. You're like, yeah, that is one dead zombie.
Yeah.
Your family name holds strong. You're strong as shit, man.
Why do they always go after me? Yeah.
What is it? My family. But
he's the source of the
now,
curse. He's the carrier, of course.
Oh my god, it makes so much sense.
Yeah. This is actually a prequel to
prequel.
Dead Rising.
Now, did we see any insects in this movie? Any giant hornets?
No, but they were in the jungle, so insects.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But now I think in between this and when they arrive back at the hospital with Dr. Menard, I think there was either something cut or they lost a scene because suddenly Brian's shirt has got far more blood on it.
Well,
and
no.
his shirt's all ripped.
Susan was bit and she was covered with blood. Then he goes to Susan and picks her up and hugs her.
Yeah, but as he walks off, there's just like blood on his right shoulder.
Oh.
But like in the next scene, like his left his left sleeve on his shirt's like torn, like almost off, and his whole chest is like covered in sweat and blood. So I'm almost thinking that maybe they lost some footage or something because I'm like, I wanted to see them kick some more ass because Brian's a badass.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of room for the editing to cut more of this movie apart, though.
Oh yeah, like the shark.
Yeah, that whole sequence could have been cut. They could have just went straight to the island. That'd been fine.
Yeah, they could and they should have done. I mean, it's a memorable scene, but in terms because the film, it's not very long, but I think it runs at a really good pace. Like it builds up the tension really well because even before, and this is another reason why I think actually the underwater stuff and the stuff in York was tacked on is because until the reveal of the conquistadors, a lot of the zombies you don't see them. Like the one that kills Menard's wife, you just see his hand.
Yeah.
And you only see Menard shoot them when they're covered, and then you get the big. Oh, sorry, no, it's at you get the big reveal at Menard's house when they're all eating her.
Yeah.
So that's almost like the big. Oh my god, they're horrifying. But yeah, so our heroes. I say our heroes. Our hero, because Brian's fucking awesome. Stumble back to the hospital where there's lots of people sick with this thing, and lots of people are dying.
Yeah.
And poor old Fritz has just popped his clogs. And then, because something happens later, and Kitty was saying, they'd always killed all the others, why didn't they kill these ones? Because when it all breaks down, and I've got a reason, I've got a theory as to why they don't, but which we'll go back to when we get there. But so they arrive banging like mad on the
door,
the hospital, the door, because the zombies have overtaken the village and they are steadily approaching. So Menard, being a badass, lets them in, and just like, okay, that's cool. Well, we'll start getting some kerosene and we're going to torch them. He's still very, very level-headed. He's like, it's fine, we're going to kill them.
I've got another gun back there. We also have some kerosene and some bottles. We'll just go make some Molotov cocktails. You all know how to do that, right?
We'll torch them. Like, you might set fire to yourself. It's fine. But there's this really, really good exchange when so he starts treating Peter's wound, and it's just again, Richard Johnson just being brilliant. The way he delivers it, he already knows the answer because he can't look at Peter when he says it, and he just says, "What about my wife?" and then looks at him.
Yeah.
And Peter has that without saying anything. Just
Like that's like the first time you actually see some real horror from our adventurers, I would say. Like for the most part, they like, oh, there's a man down there. Who cares? Let's just keep going. Whatever.
Maybe it was just some kind of work on.
Could you put some clothes on or something? Here's a blanket. And then like later on, like, you know, they're hearing these stories and what about my dad? Nothing really. Until finally it's like that scene where what about my wife? And he's like, you know what? I can't put that into words.
And he doesn't say anything. Just
gonna give you the look. That's all I can really do. That's pretty fucking horrifying.
Yeah, and then we get another great bit of delivery from Rich Johnson. He's just going through everything. He's like, I've tested everything, like even stuff that doesn't make sense, like epilepsy and cantalepsy. And he's just like, I've tried
bacteriology,
everything.
Virology, or whatever. He even tried radiology.
And he's like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, it can't be voodoo. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
So it all starts to break down a bit, and unfortunately, he gives his pistol to Peter West and says, "It's okay. I have a shotgun in the back office. I'll go and get that." He goes and gets it, and unfortunately, then Fritz gets up and bites the shit out of his face.
Right. Which shouldn't kill him, though. That's what kind of pissed me off. It's like, that would shock you, but it shouldn't bring you to the ground and like, oh, I'm dead now.
No.
You know.
It's like you couldn't think of a better way to get
As I remember, he just looked really, really upset.
Like, oh man,
crying.
Like, oh fuck no! And then he drops to the floor, and then Brian comes in and sees it munching on his face. And then then at one point Brian's just like, I've got a rifle and a fucking shotgun.
Like, I've got 2 guns, one for each of you.
Yeah. And then at that moment I was like, oh, there goes my favourite character. Like, I should not have favourite characters in any zombie fiction.
Of course
it
not.
never ends well for me. And yeah, poor old Richard Johnson goes, his death should have been better, but so Fritz gets up and because they're all panicking at this point. And the other two, the nurse and Lucas, completely forget about the other corpses in the room that they're in. They get up, munch on poor old Lucas's arm, which for some reason seems to kill him off very quickly as well.
Yeah, he probably just wanted to die.
He's like, oh
like, well, I've known for a while this shit was unstoppable, but I was hoping beyond hope that the doctor could fix it. And this just really squares it away. I'm done. I'm going to lay down here and bleed out. I really liked how the nurse's assistant, the doctor's assistant, the nurse, she seemed to really show in her face I had every faith in medical technology and it is now being so thoroughly tested that I can't handle it anymore on her face. Yeah. That was really good from her. And I kind of feel bad that her career probably never went anywhere beyond that. But
yeah, because she... I get the feeling it's like the first time she's really seen these things get up and move around.
Yeah.
Like, because when she turns around, they're just like 2 or 3 of them stand up. She's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, this isn't supposed to happen.
And then Brian walks in, shotguns the shit out of both of them. And then it's a problem I've got when he's like, okay, bring the other kerosene. And she's like, fine. She turns around. Lucas gets back up and fucking kills the shit out.
Yeah.
But what proceeds is a really cool little shootout with Brian continuing to kick ass when one of them opens the flap on like the ceiling to get in. And I'm like, so he shoots at it once, completely misses. I'm like, you're supposed to shoot it in the head, Brian. He shoots at it and he like fucking explodes the window.
Yeah, it was like an actual dynamite explosion. There was sparks and everything. I was like, oh shit. They were just setting up for that explosion is what they were doing. Like, wait, just a second. Boom! Awesome! Wonderful!
I'm like,
roll credits, we're done here.
I'm like, ow. I was like, Brian, man, just shoot it in the head. Don't blow up the window.
Yeah.
And then we have I like the little shootout they have and it's very traditional zombie set piece where they've like set up shop and they're like shooting at them and throwing Molotovs and they're trying to fight for lives. And there's another thing that I like, that they're not suddenly all like whizzes on the pistol. Like when the zombified Lucas comes out and tries to kill Anne, Peter's trying to shoot him. He misses like 2 times. It's not until he like pauses, like gets his composure, puts both hands on the gun, really steadies himself, carefully aims and then he shoots him, instead of like being Walking Dead where every character in that can just shoot every zombie with a headshot, like, you know, just one-handed with the pistol, like from like 15 feet away, like everyone can get headshots.
Right.
Yeah, there's like all the characters, like they're not perfect shots, and that raises the tension because you know these things are going to get even closer.
Yeah. The only thing I would have added in that scene, not added, but changed, was when they sort of underhand, like, softball lob the Molotovs out. Like, have a scene where they're just, like, overhand throwing them violently into the crowd because you want to burn as many as possible. And then, like, swing the camera around and be like, oh, now they're on fire, you know? That's what they should have done, instead of, like, here's a Molotov. Oh, okay.
Well, I will say, though, I love the effects in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, everything.
Do you remember the guy with the one arm? Like, he was all on, half of it was on fire, and then it drops off, and it's so good.
It's so cool. Like, that's one of the things the first time I saw it, I must have missed, because I was like, holy shit, his arm just dropped off.
Yeah. And when you think about, like,
really
this
nice
is a special effects situation, these are real people who are extras as zombies, and they're performing, and they did such a smack-bang job. It's an amazing job. Like, they're all doing the shambling thing, and I liked, like, watching how they shambled, because they all shambled differently. There was one guy who was, like, walking, like, 1 foot in front of the other, looking down, like he was, like, carefully looking at his feet, you know, because his coordination is fucked. So he's just being very careful, moving forward. I just kind of like seeing that. But
yeah, well, it was like like we were saying about the way the zombies in this are different, because they wanted to hint at the whole voodoo thing, so they wanted to make them more like voodoo zombies, which were more like controlled walking corpses, and that's why most of them have their eyes closed and their heads down. And it's almost like their movements are all deliberate.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the more shambling. I mean, they're shambling like they're corpses.
Yeah, but they weren't like falling different over themselves. They weren't like falling on their knees and like, oh no, then get back up. They were just like, okay, we're gonna go that direction. Everyone move. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It all absolutely just falls apart, and they're just fending for their lives, and then they set fire to the hospital accidentally. It's like, gee, maybe throwing Molotovs inside the building was a bad idea.
Yeah, but
like shit.
Like in that case, like if it were me, and I know it's stupid to say, oh, if it were me, I'd do something better. But I would be trying to lure as many of the zombies into the hospital and just burn the whole thing down and hope they all die in it. You know?
Totally. Yeah, I'd do that. Like, let's get rid of these fuckers. Yeah. So, and then, I mean, there's one bit that confuses. So they decide, well, this place is fucked. The fire's doing a good job. Let's set and fire to them. So maybe we should leave. So they run back into Menard's office, and I was expecting, because I'd quite forgotten. I remember how the rest of the movie panned out, but I couldn't remember if this happened. I was fully expecting zombified Menard to be there.
Right.
Maybe because part of me just wanted to see Richard Johnson one more time.
Yeah.
But,
really selling that zombie too, like.
Yeah, like, God damn you bastards! It was fine before you arrived.
Yeah. Give me your flesh.
Yeah. And then there's 4 zombies in there, and so they twat 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then just somehow run outside. It's like, what about the other 2? There's 4 of them in the way.
Yeah.
But Brian continues to kick ass, and then that one scene that I should fully expect, you know, in a zombie movie where one character starts to show like they're being really strong. Something happens that shakes them to their very core.
Yeah.
Poor old Brian runs straight into Susan, and he just, it's. I mean, because that's the thing is like, you know, in a lot of zombie things, like, oh come on, they're a zombie, just shoot her. But that's I understand that criticism if this is a character that's, say, The Walking Dead, like these characters survived for like 4 or 5 years in this apocalypse. They should by this time be very desensitized to, I don't care if that's a loved one, I have to kill them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when it's this, when it's all still very fresh to them, I can fully understand. I fully believe a character being so like shook and just horrified that a loved one is standing in front of them that's basically a walking, shambling corpse. Because he just stands there and lets her come straight into him. She takes a big old chunk out of his arm. Because I thought, oh, maybe she's being stupid. But then even after that, he can't bring himself to kill her because he tells Peter to do it. He's like, Peter, shoot her.
Yeah.
It's like, even then he still can't bring himself to do it. And it reminds me of the ending of Night of the Living Dead, the original, when Barbara finally snaps out of her psychosis, and she starts like really helping him, and she's like really strong at this point, and she's doing well, and she's fending them off with Ben, and then all of a sudden this hand appears on the doorframe, and it's her fucking brother who's come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's that split. And she shows that split second where she falters again he grabs her, and then she snaps out again, but by that time, it's too late. And I believe it because she's doing well, and then all of a sudden she sees Johnny. So you would. It'd be like seeing a loved one come back in a situation when this experience is still fresh to you. It'd be horrifying.
Yeah, if nothing else, you would at least hesitate a little bit. But what I liked about the Brian scene was that he sort of hung his head in shame because he couldn't protect her. Like, that's what I was seeing from him. He was like, "Oh, son, fucking, I deserve this. Come get me." That kind of thing, you know. And then she bit him, and he was like, "Ah, fuck, that hurts. Kill it, bitch."
He's like, "Shut up, shut up."
Yeah.
She's not my wife.
We're divorced now.
Yeah, so what they do in all good zombie things is they basically kill off the two best characters. Yeah. Brian and Dr. Menard. So they make it to the boat because that's it. Because they originally come on the boat because the island they don't leave immediately because the rotor's damaged. And at that point they're like, look, we can't rush away too much because we'll just destroy the rotor, but we have to just get off the island. Poor old Brian is very sick at this point, and he's still driving the boat. I'm like, Peter, could you take over? Brian's looking like shit. Poor old Brian dies, and this is a bit like I was like, Brian's a dick. Not Brian. Peter's a dick because Brian's like, please don't let me. I don't want to turn into one of those. Please take care of me and then take me home. They wants you to kill him when he comes back and then take him home so he can be buried. And then Peter's like, we have to lock him in there as evidence. You fucking dick.
Well, that's true though, and that's a very West thing to do.
It is a very West thing to do. But tacked on ending. Let's listen to the radio.
Yeah.
Suddenly they immediately tune into Radio New York. It's like, it's been 1 week since the zombie epidemic. I love this. This always makes me laugh out loud. It's just he's like, the zombies are all over the city. Martial law has been announced by the mayor. Wait, I've just been told. The zombies entering the building. It's like a terrible scream. As we see the shot of the zombies shambling over, I can't remember which bridge in New York it is. And you're like, oh no, zombies have taken over. I think it's the
Brooklyn Bridge, but I'm not sure.
It's the Brooklyn Bridge.
I think it would be.
Like, no, they've taken over the city, but the traffic's still moving in both directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the Brooklyn Bridge. I must say though, I didn't know all that stuff was added on when I watched the movie. I really like that shot. Like, I think that's like of all the tacked on stuff, that's a really powerful image.
Right.
It's a cool shot, and that's why it's on one of the posters as well. That's there's like a hand drawn poster, and that's one of the shots is them like marching into the city, because obviously we all know that the infection is spread because because we actually forgot about that the Coast Guard that's bitten. We see his autopsy.
Yeah, there's that,
and his hand starts to move.
Yeah.
Apparently there was supposed to be a shot of the big fat one, because obviously it doesn't get shot in the head. There's supposed to be a shot of that like rising and coming out from like onto the shore, but I think they lost the footage.
Yeah, because the second he went in the water, I thought, oh dear.
Yeah, so he's not
like at worst, you're going to affect the water supply at best. Yeah.
And also, having read Max Brooks' wonderful zombie survival guide, which is really funny. There's a section where he talks about how people thought it'd be a good idea to just like knock all these zombies overboard. He said, but the problem is that because of the pressure in the water, they just started to bloat and then they'd bobble up to the surface and start biting at people, which is just a really funny image. It's a really funny book, but yeah, apparently that was lost. Also, the scene on the bridge, supposedly the reason the traffic's still moving is because they had such a small budget, and because the stuff in New York was last minute, so they just threw a small amount of money at them. They couldn't close the roads. Also, it was really cold, and I think it'd been raining, and the extras were cold and miserable, and like this makeup had like dripped and was caked on, and for the stories I've heard, like they were fucking miserable. So the reason they're walking like that is probably because they're just cold and wet.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's that, and there's
okay, guys,
zombies, so
give me undead. Yeah, perfect.
Oh no. Oh no. Also, again, I wrote Lucio Fulci's English was very poor, and apparently when he was directing them, I think they got paid like $20 each or something. And apparently when he was directing, he said something like, "It's like when you work like this, you know," like a zombie impression.
Oh wow!
Like this. But
adorable.
yeah, and that's our final shot of the movie. Poor old Peter West and Anne have got to go back to New York full of zombies.
I love that they turned that into a movie poster. Can you imagine if movies were like marketed with posters of the final frame of the movie? It's a really cool shot. Knowing it's tacked on, you start to see and you go, oh, I can see why that's tacked on. I'm not sure what the original ending would have been. I don't know what they'd have been listening to on the radio. Maybe it would have been just something, and they'd have looked at each other and just looked sullen. Or maybe it'd be a broadcast from like that other island that they were at earlier in the movie.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It was close to Matul. But yeah, it's a short movie. It's only about 91 minutes long. There is a lot.
It felt like it was really long to me. Like I didn't want to watch it to begin with because I'm pretty sure it's famous by now, like all over the world, that I don't really care much for zombie movies and practical effects. Though I do respect them now. Not so much zombies, but practical effects. So those are definitely really good.
Yeah, when they're done well, they're really effective. Like a zombie movie with really terrible effects is just can doesn't always, but it can take you out of the experience. I think the effects in Dawn of the Dead are hit and miss, but the story and then the movie itself saves it. Like the rest of the movie just kind of just goes, yeah, but the movie itself's great. But I enjoyed this movie like this time viewing it a lot more than I thought it would. And I started to realise that it was as good as I remembered it, and it's fun. It's a fun little movie.
I enjoyed it. I think it must be an influence on Dead Island as well.
Yes,
you guys think?
Yes,
because I was getting Dead Island vibes the whole time.
Yeah, I was too.
The music will forever stuck in your mind. Is that like I'm on a zombie island? If you ever hear anything like that, it's just time to run. So,
I'll remember that next time I'm on an island and I hear some nice Caribbean music on my vacation. I'm just gonna start running. Oh, it's a zombie island! Gotta go! Matt said it.
Have you not seen Zombie Flash? Yes.
No, I've only seen Zombie 2.
Oh, the confusion. There's one thing I have to say is that the European title for this, when I think back on it, Zombie Flesh Eaters doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it sounds like it's zombies that eat, or it sounds like people that eat zombie flesh eaters.
That's a way you can look at it, but
eaters.
I don't think so. I think people would say, oh, they're zombies and they eat flesh.
Yeah, but it's when you just read it straight away, like zombie flesh eaters. Oh, so they... Why don't you eat zombie flesh? What is it? That'd be an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it'd be like reversal.
Like zombies that eat other zombies, and like people are just confused because they're supposed to be scared, but the zombies keep eating themselves. So really, there's no problems, and it just becomes like a spectator sport.
It's like they're designed by the Whale and Yutani Corporation. It's like we've bred them to kill the others.
Yeah.
It worked with the xenomorphs.
Wouldn't that be an awesome zombie movie, though? Because they do that in real life. There's like mosquitoes, for example. They well, maybe not kill themselves, but they breed mosquitoes that have a certain gene that makes it so that they're impossible to reproduce, and that lowers the mosquito population. But it wouldn't be a far cry to say, hey, we found a way to get zombies to like tuned to zombies instead of the living, and now we can just watch them tear each other apart, and it would be like this fantastic practical effects smorgasbord where you see like football fields full of zombies just ripping into each other, and people are having popcorn and that kind of stuff, and they're completely safe even if a zombie gets out, because a zombie doesn't eat living anymore, they eat other zombies. So like there's people who like buddy up with zombies and just like, hey, zombie, come and follow me, I know where some more zombies are, and it's like brains.
Oh my god, you can have like zombie pets.
It would be amazing. What a twist, man. Man, if anyone listens to this podcast, they'll like have a gold mine for a movie idea. You're welcome.
Yeah, because there are so many movies that use such and such v zombies. No one's ever done zombie v zombie.
It would be amazing.
Surprising, really.
Zombie versus zombie.
I mean, you could use as much computer effects as you want for like the massive stuff, but like zoom in on some practical stuff to like really like get it in there. Like it'd be cool if like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the zombies versus zombies, but how about zombies versus zombie dogs? And it's like, it's like zombie dogs and a zombie bear. How about that? You paid for the whole seat, but you only need the edge, folks. Come on in, like check out the show. Fucking yes. Oh man. Just gore everywhere. Pay $10 for a bottle full of zombie gore you can take home and show your kids. There's an eyeball in this one. I can't believe it. It's so cool.
Oh my god.
You get official
God,
zombie team sponsorships as well.
Oh yes, people breed zombies now. We just fucking. Well, that would be terrible.
Well, 'cause if
Don't
it's-
breed the zombies, because then you'll have to like kill people to make into zombies.
Well, I mean, not necessarily, because if it's in the George Romero universe, because no matter how you die in his movies, you still come back. Even if you die of natural causes,
true,
you still come
yeah.
back. So just
Yeah,
you just draft them
It'd
in.
be like your well, in America, your driver's license, you can choose to be a donor or not. Just be like, I'll also be a zombie donor. If there's no use for my organs, then just make me into a zombie for everyone to enjoy.
And then you could have it be like English football, where you have them like transferred for like high budgets, like so and so's been like transferred for £10 million. Like, oh my god, he's like he had like 10 kills last season.
This is
on his own.
I know we're joking, but this is actually a pretty good idea. Can you imagine like say they're like these inmates on death row, like infamous criminals.
Yes.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, when he changes, he's going to be amazing. He's going to like win the league.
Yeah.
Just like get him transferred to her.
Oh my god.
I mean that's
my God,
that's
like-
terrible. That is so terrible because
Vengeance.
you have to imagine like what it would feel like to be a criminal, knowing that you're just going to be a zombie, and everyone just can't wait for you to die so they can watch you kill other zombies. Like that's all your body is now worth. You're like, oh fuck, I really shouldn't have been a criminal. This is not a good idea at all.
Or they're just like, okay, well, if I'm on death row, so if I'm gonna come back as a zombie, like what I should do is I should work on my body, like they get in best shape possible so that their body lasts longer.
Right? Like, oh, this would be
It's
an
like your
amazing
second
movie.
career. Everybody's Wikipedia page would have like an entry where it says second career, like post death.
Yes, like the show could be called Afterlife.
Oh, this is
It's like,
perfect.
the Football Manager Sims by Sega. You could have like Zombie Manager.
Oh man,
Something like
All we need is $410 million.
Yes.
this would be a fantastic movie or video game. I mean,
my
like,
God.
oh my god, it'd be perfect. If only we had any talent, any at all, like talking on the internet, any talent, like we could sell it,
God, that'd be so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
God. Oh, that'd be really cool. That'd be a really fun game. There's got to be some. Maybe there has to be a Flash game at least somewhere like that. It has to be.
It'd be like it's like
That's the only-
Pokemon but with zombies. Like, oh,
Oh my god.
I'm just high right now
Oh,
with this
because-
fucking amazing idea. I'm like floating in cloud 9.
That'd be so good.
Well,
oh man, yeah,
that
I've got to
was
get him to write this.
Um,
Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah.
Yes.
With an amazing climax of our new game called Afterlife that we're never gonna make.
With our much better idea on the end.
In memory of Lucio Fulci.
Oh man,
Dedicated to
yeah.
Lucio
Like
Fulci.
you can create your own zombie and make him have like eye damage and stuff. Have wood splinters in both eyes.
Oh, it'd be like in like FIFA and Pro Evo when they've got like different stats like long ranger and this, like he's got like the special one's got like eye gouging.
Yeah.
That'd be like
This
one of
one's
the special
actually a
stats. Like,
faster
that's why it costs so much.
shambler, Or this one goes on all fours. Or you don't underestimate the torso now, because the torso will get you when you least expect it.
Exactly.
Man.
Oh my fucking god.
So, isn't it your turn?
Yeah,
Tom?
that was zombie. Yes, it is.
And seeing as you love both zombie films and practical effects films, do I have the treat for you?
Oh boy.
Goodness. Yes, I decided that I wanted to do this movie for a while. And I feel like it's completely different enough to back it with Zombie Flesh Eaters, because although it does feature zombies and it does feature practical effects and gore, it's a very, very different kind of thing. So, everyone will be familiar with the director Peter Jackson. He directed the Lord of the Rings trilogy
King
and
Kong.
the Hobbit quadrilogy and King Kong. Before he made all those films, he made some really, really like grungy kind of student film-ish kind of things, sort of horror films. And I don't know how I came across these. I think The Lord of the Rings must have been out at the time. I was definitely in secondary school. And I came across this film called Braindead. Okay? Now,
It's called
Dead Alive in the US,
Yes.
Chris. Okay? So that's the difference. It's Braindead, I believe, in the EU territory, and Dead Alive everywhere else, or at least the US.
Yes.
and it's a great movie. It's basically a horror comedy. It's got a really big budget for what it is, which they spent on red paint and whatever else they used to get the effects. It's essentially a zombie film, but it's a zombie film with this kind of strange, because I mean Peter Jackson is from New Zealand, so it's got this really kind of like down under kind of sense of humor, and there are so many quotable lines, so many like very visual effects that we're going to be talking about next time.
Can I? Yeah? Can I quote one of them out of context?
Sure. I think it might.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
that's
Kung Fu Father Ted.
Yep, a kind of a priest who does kung fu. Yep, you've got everything in here, and really like the main character as well. The actor who plays him is really good. So I won't tell anybody anything else about it. I'll just let you enjoy it.
Well, I'll tell somebody something about it. It's on YouTube.
Hey, there you go.
Is it? Fantastic. Also, this is about spoiling thing. I do believe there's one weapon in particular in Dead Rising 2 that owes a lot to this movie.
Lawnmower?
Close.
Yes.
Sort of. You're on the right track, actually.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. But I Googled it, and I was like, oh, it's on YouTube. And then on YouTube, it's like famous lawnmower scene. I'm like, oh.
Fuck.
Yeah. So when you're like, oh, this is a weapon, I'm like,
don't spoil anything else for yourself. It's really not worth it. But
it's brilliant. It's a really good.
Yeah, I'd recommend all of Peter Jackson's weird films from like his, I guess Lord of the Rings is kind of his very mainstream. Well, no, because I mean he made The Frighteners, which is most people have seen The Frighteners.
Wasn't that the one with like the two ghost friends like helping people?
Michael J. Fox.
Was fun. Yeah, that was fun. I remember that. I saw it in theaters.
It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it has a kind of quirky sense of humor, and that kind of quirky sense of humor is still in Braindead. It's just there's no filter.
And then one of the others he made, I think it's his first film he ever made, was Bad Taste.
Yeah, Bad Taste. Yeah, he
filmed with just his friends from university, really.
Yeah, essentially, it was kind of a glorified student film. That's got great scenes in it. Peter Jackson is in it as well. He kind of like he acts in it as well. Basically. Yeah.
What's the special? Because they're part of like a special task force. What is it? They're like the acronym's AIDS, isn't it?
I can't remember. But
something like
probably.
AIDS.
That I will say his earlier stuff is very much Bad Taste is quite appropriate, really. There's one film he did called Meet the Feebles, which is a very interesting film, Chris. Basically, it's kind of like the Muppets backstage, which is exactly what you'd expect. Like everyone's on drugs and fucking each other and stuff, but it's Muppets. Okay.
But it's like, Muppets. Okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
So there's this seal or rhino or something. I can't remember his name or what species he is. But like there's this chicken who keeps chasing him around for alimony, and he's like, honestly, it's not mine. And like you see the kid, and it's like a chicken with like a trunk or something. It's like very blatantly his child.
Yikes.
And then there's this other guy who's a lizard, and his act is like throwing knives. And he has like a huge drug problem, and he kind of has PTSD from Vietnam. So you get flashbacks where he's in Vietnam, like all these puppets.
Wow.
And it's that kind of movie. Maybe we'll do that someday.
Yeah, it's that kind of movie.
Yeah. Braindead is probably like. I think his early stuff definitely veers from like completely out there to more mainstream as it goes along. So I can't remember when Meet the Feebles is, but I'm pretty sure I think Braindead was after that, although I could be wrong. Let me have a look. So Braindead, Dead Alive, just to reiterate, is 1992 in New Zealand, 1993 in the United States. Let's have a look at Peter Jackson filmography. Splatter phase is what they call it on his Wikipedia page. Yeah, it was after Meet the Feebles. So, but by the time we get to Braindead, although it is out there, it's crazy, it's wacky, it's got buckets of blood. It's a little bit more of a kind of a coherent story.
Right.
that will be the film for next time. And
fantastic.
I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy watching it again. I hope I don't cringe so much, because the last time I saw it, I was a teenager. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it for a number of years, but I remember the first time I saw it, I really liked it. I thought it was really funny. Yeah. It surprised me how funny it was. I wasn't prepared for how funny it is. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's like the funniest movie ever made, but in terms of, you know, when someone says, "Oh, Peter Jackson made a zombie movie with some comedic elements," you think it's going to be a little bit lighthearted, like maybe Evil Dead 2, because that's a comedy horror, really. Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
it's a comedy with some really horrific moments, but. Braindead / Dead Alive is a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
The closest thing I can kind of attribute to in tone that is kind of like it's not really Western equivalent, but you know, like kind of like more Hollywood centric equivalent.
Yeah.
Is stuff like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
It's that kind of quirky humor mixed with visual effects and horror.
Yeah, and actually, you know, talking about the Dead Rising, like it's. The humour, that's very quirky, so I think, you know, that's, in terms of games, that's probably the closest thing you'd get. But we can talk more about that on the actual cast. But yeah, just it's a lot funnier than I was expecting back in the day, so I'm really looking forward to about rewatching it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
A lot of fun.
So enjoy, and we'll talk about it next time. Suffice to say, that's it from us for this week, and we'll see you next time. Until then, Matt is going to be streaming more things on his YouTube.
Yep, and I've got I'm working on a video. I mean, by the time this goes up, I'm not sure when this will go, but I am working on something for Halloween, or I worked on something for Halloween. There we go. So I think that I'm quite happy with the script I've written. So I just need to put it all together. I think it could be a lot of fun. So
that's cool.
Should be good.
Okay, and Chris, do you have any plans? I mean, you still have your Senua Sacrifice Let's Play up, which is very good, and we recommend.
I wanted to mention that real quick, because just before this podcast on Facebook, GOG.com shared something on Facebook from Ninja Theory's Facebook. I didn't know they had a Facebook, but I feel stupid because everybody's got a Facebook. And it was a 4.5 minute collage of screenshots that people have taken in Hellblade using the in-game screenshot taker thing. And
I forgot it had that.
Yeah, it's really nice because the game is beautiful. So there's a collage of those things, and alongside it there were comments clipped from notes and letters and emails and things like that Ninja Theory has received from fans of the game who have actually struggled with mental illness and recovery and all that kind of stuff, and praising the game for how well it was doing with that particular field. Certain people are able to identify with their father's mental illness now, and you know, because they have an idea now of what it is like through Senua's sacrifice. And and I'm just really proud of them. I just want to say that out loud. I'm really proud of them, and I'm really glad that I will be, pertaining to the question, I will eventually be putting up a Devil May Cry from Ninja Theory Let's Play and commented run pretty soon. I mean, not pretty soon. I'm not going to make any promises, but it's going to happen. I will say that. I just have to keep recording it whenever I feel up to doing it, and I'll upload the whole thing when it's done. So.
Oh, that's sweet, because you will put that up before I play it. Not because I don't want to play it, just because I never get around to it.
Right.
So that'll be good.
Yeah.
And by the time this goes up, hopefully I will have something up. I've been working on some bits and pieces. Basically, because like I was saying, I want to stream Akumu difficulty on The Evil Within. I'm going to make The Evil Within my first Dark Gazing episode. I'm going to be scripting it as I go along with the game, so I kind of have a coherent kind of like up-to-date view of the game. And then I'm going to be trying to stream Akumu difficulty. I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Either that's begun or is in the process of happening. So enjoy that when and if, and yeah, have fun.
All the tenses.
All the tenses, just in case. So yeah, until next time when we discuss Braindead / Dead Alive, got it down to just 2 names this time.
Making progress.
That's goodbye from us, and stay spoiled, stay down, stay away from Tool Island.
Yeah, stay away from obvious zombie islands. All of them.
And drums.
No, drums are cool. Drums are metal as fuck. We need drums. But stay away from zombie
drums and islands. Stay away from drums and islands. That's a bad combination.
Yeah.
It's voodoo. Whatever you do, don't go with the voodoo. I rhymed. Now it's time to leave. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlops. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.